Welcome, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the ninth episode of A Dash of Salt. Today, wonderful guest to my right, as always, RoboDessert.
To your right. Wait, which side are you? You're on this side. There we go. Hi. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited to be here.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. A little tired, but I feel like that's just life once you hit like 15. So
Okay, all right, that's fair. I turned 30 in a few days, so I feel like life's really getting me now.
yeah, it really catches up. And it's like a snowball effect. It just comes up right there and then it just goes faster and faster. It's great. You have a lot to look forward to.
Oh man, I hope not. For anyone who doesn't know you, introduce yourself.
My name is Robo or RoboDessert. You can call me Chris. I stream on Twitch and make videos on YouTube. I have my own channel, and I also do CoOp Comedy with Robert Hyland, where it's sort of like a Let's Play show where we play games and make a lot of jokes. And we've been doing some reaction content and having fun with that. And other than that, I live in California, and this kind of is it. There you go. What else do you want to know?
Everything. I think we all want to know everything.
Everything. All right. When I was a
Okay,
child,
let's get deep first.
let's get right into it.
The trauma, get
Dive
the
right
trauma
in.
out of the way, and then we can get into
Yeah.
the easier questions.
Start with the trauma and go from there.
So, what got you into the streaming aspect of everything? Was that
Um,
first, or what came first out of
yeah,
all that?
yeah. I mean, it's within the world of content creation. I was thinking of it as like I started with Twitch, but in a way, I really for a few years now, for like several years now, I've been doing like a YouTube sketch show with a
Oh,
friend of mine, um, like this guy that I've known since like junior high, and
that's awesome.
it's I always think it's funny because like people who do sketch shows or like comedy stuff on YouTube don't really get called content creators, but that's exactly what they're doing, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
we filmed all of our own stuff, we edit our own stuff, we post it, like we're doing everything on our own. And so like that's sort of what got me started making content online. But more recently, like many folks with the pandemic, I've always loved video games. I've been watching Twitch for a year or so now before the pandemic started, and then I had actually streamed back in like 2019,
Okay.
very, very infrequently, but then it just with schedules, it just did not work out. And so once the pandemic hit, and I was like, cool, I have all the time in the world now. Let's try this thing again. And so yeah, I started doing that, and then started making YouTube and TikTok, and co-op comedy is still pretty recent, but I've been really proud of what we've done in the like 2 or 3 months that we've
Yeah.
been working on stuff now. And I'm just trying to do a little of everything. Just put content out there on whatever platform and see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm honestly trying to get on that same grind. Like it's a hard grind to
Hmm.
like consistently do.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so for you and Robert, like I look at what everything y'all are doing together and separately, and it just motivates me to like, keep doing it. I think
yeah,
everyone kind of needs that. You need that little extra push. And when I see other people
yeah.
doing it, I'm like, okay, well I can do this too. So let's try it.
Yeah, there's so many great folks doing some really cool stuff out there, and it is inspiring. There's that sort of thing of like, God, can I ever do anything as cool as that? But then it motivates you. You're like, yeah, well, let's go try it and find out and
Yeah,
see what we can make.
exactly. What got you into sketch comedy or doing all that, writing a bit?
Oh man, I've always been attracted to performing like in any capacity since like I think high school was the first time I really got into. No, actually, in fourth grade, legitimately in fourth grade, we did like this little school play. It was a puppet show of the Wizard of Oz. And I got to play the wizard, which was awesome because we were all ducked down behind this table and we had these giant puppets that we made. They're on these like big sticks, and I was the only person that got to stand up above the table because I was the wizard, so I got revealed at the end. And I was like, everyone had their script like taped to the back of their puppet, and so I was like, everyone was reading the script, but I was like, I have to stand up and I have to know all my lines, and I was going to be so ready to do that, and then I stood up and instantly forgot everything I
Oh
said. So I feel
no.
like I've always eternally just been like trying to track down the ability to memorize those lines. But no, and then in high school I got into like drama, and we would do like improv warm-up games, and I fell in love with making people laugh in any
I love
capacity.
improv.
It's like one of the best things in the world. Yeah, improv is great. So, I was taking improv classes out here in LA and some sketch writing classes, and then me and my friend have been doing that for a while. We actually started by making like still shot web comics that were just like actual photos with like text over it, and then it turned into
Interesting.
filmed sketches.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
so we just love making people laugh.
Yeah.
That's like that's my #1 favorite thing to do.
I think that's still, I don't know. I don't know why people would consider that content creation. It's still content creation in
Yeah,
my eye. Like
yeah,
the
100%.
the first person I ever watched on YouTube consistently, I don't know if people know him because he probably because he's an OG, but was Philip DeFranco. He was like the first person like I
Mhm.
watched all the time, and then like he ended up making like SourceFed, and I got super into SourceFed, and that's all it really was is just like these skits and that
Yeah,
they were doing and putting together, and it was just so funny. I think that was like my initial introduction into improv as well, and ever since then I've loved it. Like I
that's
don't
great.
think
Do you do improv
I
yourself?
don't know if I could do it. Maybe I think
Definitely.
my friend
100%.
maybe my best friend Brad he'd probably be great at it because like he's just so witty. It's very easy for him to think of something right off the top. For me,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
don't get me wrong, I'm more of a situational humor guy than I am a write a
Mhm.
joke guy, but maybe.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's one thing that I've loved about Twitch is because like I can write sketches and like plan jokes sort of, but I think I've always been sort of in that same boat
Mm-hmm.
where it's like I feel like I'm stronger at reacting to things in the
Yes.
moment and saying
I
this.
think
Definitely not as strong as some folks, but
Yeah, I think that's why reaction videos have always been killer on YouTube. They've like just always do great no matter what.
I I really didn't know until recently how popular that whole genre of content is, and
Mm-hmm.
it's huge.
It
It's
really
crazy
is.
to me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I've seen some YouTube channels in the past where like they do all these different videos and then they do one react video and it's like that's their biggest video like all of a sudden. It's like, oh wow, maybe
100% what's going on with me and Robert with co-op
nice.
comedy. Like no joke. We've put out like probably almost 70 or 80 videos
So
now,
funny.
and hands down our most popular video is a reaction
Yeah.
video from E3 that's just like we keep making jokes about how it's carrying our entire channel. We're like, all right, let's just let it go.
Well, hey, if that's what
But
takes you
no,
off, that so
what it,
be it.
I'll do it.
It's
We're just like, what else can we react to? What else is out
It's
there?
kind of crazy too, because when I look at YouTube videos or channels, it's often I see that their number one video is their first video that they ever posted. Mainly because I think the how
Mm,
YouTube used to work, it just plastered your first video up at the top or whatever. Now I think you can choose it
yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever, but um, it's so interesting because you go back and you see these big YouTubers and you see their first video and like, oh wow, that's like crazy that was your first
Where we
video.
start.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I think it's so interesting with reaction content too, because like I think this is something that like an interesting trend with content that I've experienced overall is it's like sometimes compared to some of the things out there, reaction content doesn't necessarily take as much work in terms of like you don't have to write a script for it. You don't have to like a lot of people make gaming content. They'll make like guides or whatever. And you
Yeah.
have to record the gameplay and scan through or whatever. And with that, it's like you just watch this thing or open a thing and you just give your genuine reaction. Like
Mm-hmm.
comparatively, there's not as much planning and stuff that goes into it, and yet that kind of content oftentimes does better than stuff that you do plan, whether it's reaction content or really off the cuff stuff. Like it can just blow up as opposed to the stuff that you spend hours like editing and doing other stuff, and people are like, I don't want that, give me, go back to this other thing that you spent 10 minutes on.
Right. I don't know. I think even like one of the craziest videos I've ever seen in my life was like um it was like I forget what it was, Discovery Channel or something like that, but it was this these iguanas or something that were being born, but they were being born in like a
Mm.
snake's nest pit or something like that along the
Oh
shores. So
no.
like they were being born and were having to escape from all these snakes and stuff. It's like you
Yikes.
can't plan that. That's such a
No.
and I think
Yeah.
they won like a I don't know what it would be for filmography, like what award that is, Oscar. I don't know what it would be, but I know they won
Yeah.
awards for that like piece of film that they
Wow.
had. It's so amazing. It's such a so like those type of things have always drawn me in, and I think that's always what's going to draw
Yeah.
other people in with reaction content, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
It's just genuine.
other than your YouTube, what kind of streams are you putting out there? Because I know I've kind of delved into your co-op comedy a little bit. I told Robert when I
Mhm.
had him on, I'm a creeper. When I have guests on, I do a little, I go through all their
Well,
stuff.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. Oh yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah. Go ahead. What kind of streams do you do?
oh yeah. I mean, myself, I am a variety streamer, so it's almost entirely gaming content, but a lot of different games. I stream a lot of indie games specifically. Right now, it's a lot of this game that I was playing earlier, Phantom Abyss, which I've just become addicted
It looks
to.
amazing.
It's let me tell you, it's even better to play. We won't spend the whole time talking about it, but I've honestly now been wanting to mix it up with even more stuff. Not necessarily outside of the realm of gaming content, but just try to, I'm always trying to think of like how can I take what's going on and take it a step further, or just keep heightening it in some way. So like recently I had like my 1 year
Oh,
anniversary
nice.
stream, and yeah, and it was a lot of fun. And I had my girlfriend on, and we did like a baking stream, and then for like the first half, and then we played some games with the chat and stuff after that. So I'm always trying to look at like other stuff to do with that, or like I once streamed. I got a bunch of those old I Spy books and just
Oh, that's
streamed
awesome.
those. I just like had a camera over it and was like, "Come on, guys, let's find this," because those are just so nostalgic for
Yeah.
me. So I always like to mix it up, but it's mostly gaming content in some way. I myself focus on like usually like story driven, especially with indie games, like more wholesome content. There's so many really delightful indie games out there
Mm-hmm.
that don't get as much attention because
Yep.
they're indie games, but they're wonderful. They're really good stories, really good visuals, just knock it out of the park.
I think the struggle, at least for, I don't know, I think it's a mindset more than anything for streaming with people like me who are trying to grow. And it's like, oh, should I play this indie game that I know is probably really fun, but that has no viewers? So it would be like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not like the game
Mm-hmm.
is growing me any viewership. It would just be me trying to play a
Yes.
game, you know? So like,
Yes.
I think that's one of the things I struggle with to try and get more into indie games, but I think I just need to let that go and just, because there's some awesome games out there.
There are, yeah, there's some really good games, and I've struggled with that myself. I used to do, it sort of happened accidentally, but when I first started streaming last summer, I had a period where my internet was just not working properly. I could still stream, but my upload rate was just garbage. So I found
The
like
biggest
a little
struggle.
indie game. It's all the time. But I found like this little indie game that I was like, okay, this is not as intense graphically, so maybe I can stream this. And I created this tradition out of it where every Saturday I would find like a new indie game that
That's
sort of fit
awesome.
that similar vibe, and stream. I called it Small Game Saturday. But it was always that same thing of like, okay, well, I'm going to be streaming this game that like 3 people in the world have heard of. So, that's just going to be me and my chat. And we're going to hang out and have
Yeah.
fun. And over time, people caught on to it, and it sort of became its own thing. But it was definitely like, I always knew that Saturdays, it was like, I'm not going to find new people on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Those are streams for me and my community
Yeah.
that are here. And every now and then, like I streamed Undertale, which is an
Okay.
indie
Yeah.
game, but
Yeah.
it's like a cult classic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was, I feel like a lot of people have heard of that, and I got a lot of new followers from that because people just love that game so much, that they just follow. And anytime someone's streaming, they're like, "Oh, I just want to go check this out." And so like every now and then you hit like a cornerstone of the indie world with that. But yeah, I find that struggle even with some AAA games where it's like if
Yeah.
it's an older
True.
game or something, you're like, all right, well, I'm gonna stream this, I'm gonna have fun with it, but maybe we won't get as many new people,
Yeah.
and that's okay, but
I love Final Fantasy
mm,
games,
so-
especially like 7, 8, 9,
oh
10.
man.
You know, like when I first started streaming on this channel, that was like what I went to because I was like, well, what's my favorite game? And I was like, Final Fantasy.
Hmm.
So I'll just start trying to do that. Yeah, and very, very slow burn in the beginning because I was like, I'm just going to stream Final Fantasy
Hmm.
for right now until I beat it. And then I
Yeah.
realized that that's probably what I shouldn't be doing. You know what I mean? So, but
No, Final Fantasy is it's good though.
it's a good game. It's just not it's not very enticing to a viewer. I think it could be more of a community game where people that like, I don't know, it's very niche, right? Like
Yes.
people are
Yeah.
gonna
100%.
only come to it because they like Final Fantasy. It's not like let me
Right.
find 7
Right.
today. Other than the remake. The remake makes it a lot better, but
Remake is beautiful. I had never played a Final Fantasy
oh,
game before,
really?
but I jumped into the remake of 7. Game was not for me at all. I did not
Okay.
have a good time in the game, but it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
It was like such an incredible remake because I've seen footage from the original, and
Mhm.
like seeing the two next is a night and day
Yeah,
difference.
I was telling
Really
you
cool.
before, I'm a big nerd about a lot of things. So like, that's
Yeah.
another one. But maybe not 14s. I know there's a lot of Final Fantasy 14
Yeah.
nerds out there. So I haven't delved into that, but So during my creeping, I and even today you did somewhat of a little bit of it. You do these like blind Pokemon drawing. You
Yes.
even had this
Yes,
like
I do.
scene set up with I think your
Yeah.
previous drawings. I thought that was hilarious. That's so awesome to see. How'd that start?
That was that I when I first unlocked like the ability to make channel points, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. So I was just like looking around online everywhere of like looking on Reddit threads of like what do people recommend for this? And somebody on one thread was like, you could like have people ask you to draw something from memory. And I was like, what's something that I sort of know enough to be able to draw from memory? I thought of Pokemon, which like I only really know the first couple of generations because I stopped following it after that. Uh but I tried it out, and it was like people fell in love with it
Mm-hmm.
instantly. Because I don't show what I'm drawing, so people just hear me describing it. So I think people are just like, "What is he seeing?" And then I finally reveal it, and it's just so much worse than I was describing it because
Mm-hmm.
I can't draw. I don't have like art skills for this sort of thing, and a lot of the times I don't really remember what it looks like. So it's just this really nice combination of poor art skills and bad memory that just create these really horrible little nightmare creatures. And I honestly, people use more channel points on those than any. And I literally have a binder
Oh, that's
of
amazing.
all of the drawings that they're all on post-it notes, and there's probably almost like 500 little
Wow, that's
Pokemon in there
amazing.
now. So
That's a great
yeah.
idea. That's an amazing like thing to do with your community and to even keep it. I'd probably be so dumb and throw it away immediately, but that's so cool that you could even look back and
Yeah, I get like weirdly sentimental with things.
yeah,
So at first I was just keeping them in a little stack in a drawer, and then that because they're post-its, so
yeah.
things would stick to them and stuff. So I was like, I gotta get something for this. So I started putting them in this binder. And yeah, honestly, it was one of those things for me. I didn't expect it to be as popular with my community as it was, and like I said, like people redeem more channel points for that than anything else I have. And yeah, I have merch and stickers with some of the drawings now, and I'm really hoping Nintendo never finds them and is like, please stop doing that or we'll sue you. But it's been great. It's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Always
I'm
a
trying to
challenge.
find that thing, channel point thing that's unique, interesting to you,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't found it yet. I'm still there. I think right now people just love watching me suffer, so they just make me do lunges and squats and stuff. So like
Mm-hmm.
that's like
Mm-hmm.
that's the number one challenge
Oh yeah.
redemption. You know,
Oh
but
yeah.
that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
But
No,
I
that
can't
those
draw
are good.
either, so like I don't know if I could do
No.
that.
Oh, absolutely not. I can't draw it worth a damn.
I
So
think you're actually okay. Like to I said it, I don't know, one of these last streams, but like in my head, I have the Mona Lisa. On paper, I can barely do stick figures.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, it's always a challenge because I'll see the Pokemon in my head and then I'm trying to get that from my brain to the paper is that's where it all falls apart. Or like sometimes because I draw them in pen, so sometimes I'll
Mm.
make mistakes, so I'll try to like
Mm.
cover it with something else, which then just makes it look even
That's
worse.
funny.
Um, but yeah,
I saw
it just clicked.
I saw you did a combination between a viewer and a Pokemon today.
Yeah, yeah. That it like I said, it became so popular that people started to redeem sort of weird stuff with Pokemon. So I created like a separate channel point reward that is Pokemon Studio Plus. So you can have like it started out with like draw Machamp juggling Voltorbs, and now
Oh.
it's turned into draw this viewer as a Pokemon, draw this as a Pokemon, and so it just gets wild. I
That's
have to
actually pretty
draw
funny.
Vaporeon as a sexy anime girl, like just
Hey,
all kinds
I
of
might
stuff.
have to ask to see that one.
I'll send you the Discord link.
So
So.
one thing I'm always interested in with streamers, especially when they hit affiliate and they're able to unlock it, they get that emote. They get that
Mm-hmm.
sub badges. Where did your ideas come from? Because I think that's always interesting.
Yeah, for me, I really tried to focus it around my username, RoboDessert, and I really tried to focus on combinations of dessert elements, and robot elements. So, like my first emote that I was really excited about, or at least the first, because once I unlocked the slot, I didn't have the emote yet, so I
Yeah.
just sort of put something in there. But the first one that I like sought out was it's like a donut with these little robot arms, and it just says hype above it. So it's the hype donut. It's just like this little robotic donut. And the badges are all like cupcakes with little robot arms. And so I've tried to focus around that theme. And like now I had recently commissioned from this artist on Twitter to do like a robot, and the robot has like a little swirl of whipped cream with a cherry on its head as opposed to like the normal antenna. So I really tried to focus around that combination and stick with that, which can be difficult
Yeah.
because it's hard to pack in both of those elements
Mm-hmm.
into such a small space. But that's where a lot of that comes from me.
No, that's awesome. That's a great. I've said it almost every stream. Like I never know how to do branding. I feel like branding was never my forte.
No, same. Which is I've been so pleased working with Robert Hyun because he kills it in branding. Like his ideas around branding and like themed ideas are just spot on every time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, yeah, let me work with you. Let me
Right.
leech some of that from you.
He seems very
So
insightful
yeah,
with that stuff. I was definitely trying to pick his
yeah,
brain a
he
little
kills
bit.
it. Yeah. That's definitely an area that I feel that I struggle in overall. So it's been nice working with him and getting to pick his brain with that a little bit more.
Having a team with things is interesting. Did I know y'all didn't like meet just randomly on the streets or whatever, you know? It wasn't like y'all were friends
Yeah,
from long time ago or whatever. But how's it been working
yeah.
with someone that like because for example, I'm working with my friend on a podcast that we used to do, and we're doing it again. I feel like that was easier. We've been friends forever. We talked forever, so it just comes naturally. How was that trying to get into something, and how did that spawn even?
It was definitely like a slow burn because we met through Twitch, through a mutual friend of mine, one of my mods, Kate Rose, and we the more we would hang out in each other's chats and hang out, we realized how similar our sense of humor was. And before we actually started Co-op Comedy, Robert with his great ideas again, we both happened to hit, I think it was 500 followers like at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a joint celebration stream for that, and he was like, "What if we did? We played this game called A Way Out." And he created he had all these ideas for like special channel point rewards that were themed around like prison and all this stuff. And it was a blast. And we had we realized that we worked really well together, partially because we had like the same sense of humor,
Mm-hmm.
and we approach so much of streaming from the same perspective that it just sort of clicked. And I think, you were talking about making a podcast with a friend which you had worked with before. Even though we had met on Twitch, I think Twitch is it's this weird social structure because you meet these people and you don't really spend that much time with them, or not as much as it feels like, because there's people that I have as friends or mods on Twitch that I feel like I've known them for years, but I
Mm-hmm.
literally met them like last
Yeah.
year, or they'll be around for a few months, and they'll like the resub notification will come up and it's been like, yeah, I've been subbed to you for 3 months, and I'm like, didn't you just enter the chat? Like, it
Yeah.
feels like you know people for so much longer, because you end up spending like this very condensed amount of time with them day in and day out. So honestly, with Robert, it felt like we had been friends for a while,
That's
anyways, just
awesome.
because we've been able to hang out and chat a lot. So I think that helped it. And then working on Co-op Comedy has just been great because, like I said, we have so many of the same thoughts about how to do things. And in some ways we balance each other out. But like literally the other day, I was editing this video and I was like, "Hey, we have this problem. I don't know how we want to fix this." And as he was typing out a response of an option, I typed out the same option for how to find it.
Nice.
He's like, "Well, you don't gotta ask me anything anymore because you clearly know what we're gonna answer." So it just clicked really well, honestly, and it's been great. And it's been so nice going from working on things on your own completely, having to do all the editing and stuff, and
Yes.
being able to balance that out with one other person.
How does that go?
It's been really nice.
How do you guys manage that? I think that's super interesting because even with the podcast, I feel like other than being like, hey, I'll edit this episode, you edit that episode, I'll edit it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Other than that, I wouldn't know how to go about working with someone about something like that.
Yeah, it's we I usually record on my end because we record like through OBS,
Mm-hmm.
so we can capture the game and our cameras and all that. So it just ends up on my computer. So I've been able to take over a lot of the video editing, and also like sort of a double-edged sword, am not working full time right now because of the pandemic. So I have more time throughout the day to devote to that. So I try to take on more of that because he does have a full-time job, on top of running his own stream and all this other stuff. So I try to take on more of that, but it's the a great example would be like we did a bunch of reaction content for E3,
Mm-hmm.
and it just like we were just on fire with that because we would record a reaction to something and then I would be editing it and then I would like get it uploaded to YouTube and he would fill out the description and put
Oh
the
wow.
thing in, and then we'd have like, okay, you do this and then I'll put this thumbnail here, and like we
Yeah.
just like it was just this nice back and forth and it just worked really well. And sometimes he'll take over and edit a video, or like we even though it's co-op comedy, sometimes we'll play a single player game
Yeah. Yeah.
and both just make jokes
Yeah.
about it. Well, like only one person is playing, so like sometimes he plays the game and I'll comment on it, so he records and he'll edit like that video, we just try to pass it
No,
off,
I watched
and
the I forget the mud truck and
Mud Runner.
Mud Runner. I thought that
Yeah,
was hilarious, because obviously only
it
one
was wild.
person's there playing, but I
Mhm.
thought that was
Yeah,
such
yeah.
an interesting idea. I even brought that up to my friend. I was like, "Hey, look at this! Like, there's two people both commentating on something,
Mhm.
and only one person's playing." I was like, "That's such an interesting idea." Uh, Not to
No.
like just straight up jack your idea, but I might have to do
I
something like
mean,
that
it's
sometime.
definitely not something we came up with. We're definitely not the first to be a comedy duo on the internet playing
Oh
video
no,
games,
no, no.
but yeah, we try to find co-op games, but like stuff like that we found actually works really well too, because
Yeah,
then only one person has to really focus
yeah.
on the game, so then the other person can totally focus on making sure that we're keeping the jokes up.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we found even with some co-op games where it's like if it's like a really intense puzzle game, we get so focused on the puzzle that we just stop making jokes. We're just
Sure.
like, okay, but how do we solve this? And we're like, well, that's not interesting. So it playing the single player game sometimes just allows us to really focus on making sure that the content is staying
Yeah,
alive
for
and
sure.
breathing. So
Yeah, there might be like a million co-op people out there, but I think with what makes everyone unique is their personalities together and their
100%.
camaraderie and
Yeah.
what they bring to everything. And
Yeah.
y'all are hilarious together and separately, so I think that works very well. Me and my buddy, I think we just talk shit to each other. So like,
Hey, there you go.
like it's more like a
Yeah.
brotherly love deal, but I don't think
Oh
we've
yeah. Yeah.
ever had a conversation where there hasn't been some type of shit talking. So that's just me and him, though. We still love each
100%.
other, though.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So another thing I noticed, because I think you even posted a tweet about it not too long ago, but you have like this Dino suit or onesie
Yeah.
that you put on. What
Yeah. Yeah.
was the conception of that? Where did that come from?
That was the friend that I make the sketches with, which I keep like dancing around his name. My friend's name is Jose, and our sketch group is Intelligent Design on YouTube. But we had written this sketch that was about like Jurassic Park or something. I have to find the script. I don't remember what it was about. But dinosaurs were involved, and I think the idea was like by the end of the sketch we would both be in these dinosaur onesies. So we both purchased these matching dinosaur onesies. There's a photos of both of us wearing this. So I just had this dinosaur onesie lying around. And then on stream, shortly after I hit affiliate, I had my first hype train on Twitch, and like it just people went crazy, and because it was still closer to the start of the pandemic, so people were just like, "Let's go wild!" and ended up reaching level 5, and I was just like so overwhelmed. I was like, I want to do something to like what do you I'll put on a wear a hat for you or whatever, and it's like I have this dinosaur onesie, I can put this on, and people are like, yeah, put that on. So I put that on, and it just like people were just like, this is great. And it just became like this tradition out of nowhere. And so every time I have a hype train, I put on that dinosaur onesie. And now like I have an emote. Somebody who was a viewer was like, "Hey, can I draw you in this dinosaur onesie?" And I was like, "Yes, please. Like I would love that. If anyone ever wants to draw me ever,
Yeah,
yes, please. I just want to be a cartoon at all times.
right.
So by all means, draw me." And so she did, and it was just adorable. And I was like, "Can I use this as an emote?" And now I have this little like me in a dinosaur onesie with like a little heart, and it's one of my favorite emotes by far. It just sort of came about organically.
Oh, that's so
But that's
awesome.
that's where the dinosaur ones. And now I have like other onesies that I've purchased because there's like a theme. So like I did
Okay.
this community stream with Pokemon, so I have like a Pikachu
Oh,
onesie,
wow.
and so gotta keep it fresh.
No, that's awesome. I don't
Mm.
know if I could ever one I don't have the body type for a onesie. Either they're like super baggy on me
Mm.
or like I look like a kid or like I'm wearing a kid's suit because it just
Yeah.
sleeves come up
That's
to
how I
here.
feel with the Pikachu one. The
Really?
dinosaur one is really baggy, but then the Pikachu one is tight. I'm like flexing out. I can't even put the hood on because it's just too short. But I got the right size,
Right.
so I don't know. But,
So, what I think I'm always interested in how people can just talk, right? There's this you turn into people's stream and either they're silent, they're the silent types that are just gaming and just
mhm.
focused, or they're interactive, they're chatting. But even with you, like even when you're not directly chatting with somebody, you're just so good at being able to just talk and like comment on things happening around you. Does that just always come natural to you, or is that you picked up through sketch or
It's sort of a mix of things because I feel like in one hand, I think it's something that I have developed somewhat naturally over time, especially with having done improv, just being able to just go from like thought to thought to thought. But I think it was definitely an adjustment period of making sure that that part of your brain is turned on all the time while
sure,
you're
yeah.
streaming. Because if we're playing games, even if you're playing with the games with a friend, you're not always talking.
Yeah.
So there's definitely like an adjustment to be like, oh, let me make sure that this is going on all the time. And now that I've been doing it, I don't even think about it anymore. Like, just the stream is going, cool. We're gonna be talking about what's that over there, what is that, and what is everyone having for lunch today. Like, and sometimes I'll notice that I've been quiet for a minute, so like, oh, let me just hey, what's everybody doing tomorrow? What do you have it for? What are you guys doing for 4th of July or just whatever it is? Especially once you get folks talking in your chat, then it just sort of starts to roll naturally. People respond to something, they'll say this, you can respond. But yeah, there was like I think I had a good foundation from improv and comedy and that sort of thing, but it definitely was an adjustment to make sure that it was just constant.
Yeah, I think you're just some people are just natural with it. Like it doesn't seem forced at all from you. It just seems
Yeah.
like when I was watching you play the game earlier, you were literally commenting on every single thing that was. I was like, wow, like I wouldn't even be able to pick out every single thing and just talk like that. So I just
Yeah.
think that was so cool to see because I don't know. I think I have ADHD, right? So like everything that's going on, and someone can comment on it as well. I'm like, okay, this is perfect for me. This is exactly what I need. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, I'm just gonna be looking everywhere to see what stuff's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think I also like I remember when I was younger, I would play games like Prince of Persia or whatever,
Oh
and my
man.
sister didn't really play games, but she liked watching people play games, so she would just be hanging out on the couch with me, and I would just be playing, and it was basically like I would just be making weird noises as we go through or whatever. So I think there was like a little bit of that has carried on
Yeah.
and lived on into the world of Twitch.
No,
So,
that's awesome. What got you into gaming in general? Like, I think
oh
all of us
man,
kind of. I think mine was Nintendo 64. That was my first other than a Game Boy. A Game Boy and Pokemon was probably
yeah,
my first game and console or
hell yeah,
whatever. But like Nintendo 64, Mario 64, Banjo Kazooie, all those original things. That was
all
like
that,
got me into or in Smash Bros. Sorry, I had to add that one in.
yeah, yeah. I never had a Nintendo console
Oh
growing up
man.
except for a Game Boy Advance. I totally missed out on all that, but I had a PlayStation. That's what
Okay.
like when the PlayStation 1 came out, my parents bought me that. And my dad was very into games too. Like he was more into like PC games. He would play like
Mm.
SimCity or there was this old puzzle game called Myst.
Oh
It had a
wow,
sequel
I remember
Ribbon.
that game. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, those are I get they were re-released it on mobile. It was not as hard as I remember. I'll just tell you that right now. But like so I got really into gaming on the PlayStation and I played Spyro and Crash Bandicoot
Love
and
Spyro.
the first game we had was Frogger and I remember I like got a high score or whatever and they were like put in your initials and I was like what are initials? What does that mean? Like that's how I learned what initials were. That's how I learned what my initials was playing Frogger. So I got into all that, and then I've had like every other PlayStation console since. I've had a PS2, PS3, 4, 5, and yeah, and then it just went from there, and been obsessed ever since. So
That's awesome. I
it's
wish
just
I
like a good way to
I
relax.
wish I had you know, like you know how people like have sports have stat trackers and everything. I wish there was just a life
Hmm.
tracker because I would love to see how much I've
Yeah.
learned from video games alone. You know what I mean? There's
Hmm.
so much stuff I've
Hmm.
learned in video game or in TV shows or movies. You know, it's so interesting to
100%.
see what you'll learn from there. And you're like, wow, why didn't I learn that in school? So
There's yes, there's a lot.
you said you with COVID your job has stopped a little bit, um,
Mhm.
and you've been able to focus more on content creation, streaming. How are you balancing everything? Like, is there one thing that's more important than the other, or and you do everything in an order, or how's that all go?
It's I feel like a need to really like make it clear with me in content creation specifically because like I said I lost I was laid off from my job at the start of the pandemic because I worked at a theater specifically in the front of house so there was
Mm,
no live shows going on anymore. Which has really been a double-edged sword because I don't like I'm relying on unemployment right now for as a main source of income, but it's like I don't want to do
mm-hmm.
that. It's very difficult. But the upside of that is that I've had a huge amount of time to focus on content creation, which is not something that a lot of people in this field have.
Yeah.
Most people have to still work a full-time job. They have family, kids, etc., whatever. I don't have kids. I didn't, I never finished college, so I don't have student debt or whatever to worry about. So I feel privileged in a way to have the time I want to focus on this. So I definitely don't have to balance as much as a lot of other people. But it's still like it was really funny because near the start of this, like I just became obsessed with content creation immediately. Because I think for me it was something that like in a way it just felt like oh this is where I was supposed to be the last like 20 years or whatever because I don't know about other people but I've gone through most of my life feeling like I don't like I've had jobs and I'm like, this is not where I
Mm-hmm.
belong, but I'm doing it because it pays the bills. And content creation and Twitch just felt like one of the first places where I'm like, yes, okay, I belong here. It's still gonna take work. I don't know what I'm doing yet, but this is the right
Yeah.
place. So I felt really happy and I just like put every second I had into it. And I still do, but like it is definitely still a challenge because like I was literally at home. I live with my girlfriend and a friend of ours and we literally can't go anywhere. But I remember like 2, 3, maybe 4 months in, I was like I remember sitting on the couch with my girlfriend and I was on my laptop like working on something for Twitch and I was just like I miss my girlfriend. Like we literally are stuck at home together, but I'm putting so much time into
Mm-hmm.
this other thing that it's like I'm not really spending time. And we sleep in the same bed, so we see each other every day, and et cetera, et cetera. But it's like you still have to figure out this balance between everything else that you do in life, whether it's like exercise or hanging out with friends or whatever, and focusing on this thing that, like, especially within the video game world and in a lot of other fields, but like everything feels like it has to be done right now, right this second. Like when E3 came out, it was like you have to get that reaction video out
Yeah.
right now because in 2 days nobody cares. They've already
Yeah.
seen it from somebody else. So there's this huge amount of pressure to get everything done immediately. Um, and so it's really tough to balance that with that pressure going on. And you see, the more you get into a community with other creators and stuff, everyone's making content, so you see all this content from other people, and it's just like, fuck, that guy's doing that thing and they're doing that, and I got to get on this, and now I'm behind. But I found one thing that really has really helped me is just scheduling things, like scheduling time for content creation. It's like, okay, I know I'm going to be doing this on this day, and scheduling time with friends.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to like schedule everything, but setting aside time for things makes it much harder to go through the week and be like, oh, I'll do that later, and then you don't get to it. Whether it's hanging out with somebody or work
Mm-hmm.
or content creation, just being able to schedule things I think is one of the best ways to help balance that. Because then you know for sure that at that time you were doing X, Y, or Z.
I'm the same way. I feel like I just, with everything, if it's work, life, uh, home, whatever, like I gotta compartmentalize things. My wife is
Yeah.
very different, very very different. She's very like in the moment, flowy, just kind of like doesn't think too much into it, and I'm very precise. This time, this place, we gotta be somewhere. Like that's just
Yeah,
how I
I'm
always
I'm
am.
usually like that. I'm usually the like go with the flow, like it'll happen when it happens. Who cares? But I had to sort of recalibrate a little bit because I was just like, if I don't schedule time for this, I'm gonna in my head I'll go, oh, I'll do that. I'll
Yeah.
get to that event, and it just won't happen.
Yeah, she
So
hates it when I'm like, hey, like maybe we can hang out on this day. And she's like, are you scheduling time with me right now? I was like, I'm
yeah,
sorry, it sounds like
yeah,
that, but I'm not,
yeah.
it's just I'm busy.
It's what you got to do sometimes. Yeah, 100%.
So what comes where have you found your most success? Other than like Twitch and streaming like that. Outside of streaming, where have you found your most success or what's popping?
Definitely, weirdly for me, TikTok has clicked a lot in terms of content creation. TikTok has been pretty good. Specifically, going back to what we were talking about earlier about how like really off the cuff stuff tends to do really well.
Yeah.
I posted this one TikTok. We had I was hanging out with my girlfriend one night, and our carbon monoxide alarm went off in our apartment, and we were like, "What do we
That's
do with this?"
scary.
And yeah, it had never gone off for us before, so I was like, "I don't even know what we do with this. I don't know what this is." But we ended up having to sit in the car with our cats for like 3 hours while we waited for the gas company to come out and check for a leak. And so I just made a TikTok about that. I was like, "Hey, here's what happened. This is really silly. We literally have the cats in the back of the car, and it just blew up.
Wow.
It has almost 600,000 views now,
Wow.
and it's like I put no thought into
Yeah.
that. It was literally I filmed it in the car. It was just a wild situation. There were cats involved, and people ran with it. So that has helped a lot. But like I feel I just sort of clicked with TikTok as a platform in a way. Because that really like short form content is really difficult to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I tried to be really consistent with it, and I feel like very few of the videos that I have put out have really like hit. But sometimes I feel like I've got the formula down right, and I've had a few videos that have performed really well that have actually brought people like over to Twitch and stuff, and been able to do that, which has been really cool. But there's just something that I've really enjoyed about the platform of TikTok in terms of like there's such a range of content on there, and it feels very
Mm-hmm.
approachable, and I think it feels the most balanced to me of the social media platforms in
Interesting.
terms of like if me or you post something on YouTube, Ninja's never gonna see that.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
Ninja will never know who we are as long as he's alive. But on TikTok, anybody can see any video at any time.
Okay.
Like
That's true.
there's another streamer who I didn't really follow his stuff, but I've seen him a lot on TikTok. He has quite a large TikTok following. And he like commented and liked in one of my videos about like a screen that I had made for Twitch, and I was like, this is wild. Like anyone can just see anything
Mm-hmm.
on it. It's pushed in a different way than other platforms, which I think is really cool, especially coming from Twitch, which is all about like the entire structure is based around viewership. Like how many viewers do you have right now? If you have 5, nobody's going to see you. If you have 1,000, you're the only person that anyone's going to see.
Yeah.
So it was just so refreshing from coming from that sort of thing to somewhere where anyone could see anything.
That's so interesting because I feel like that's been my biggest battle right now is I've made I have the TikTok page and channel, and I'm there, and I think about making a TikTok, and I've even started and
Mhm.
had it and didn't even post it because it just felt weird. And then I was like, well, am I really gonna gain viewership from this? It's like self-doubt almost, why I'm not
Yeah,
doing it.
yeah.
At the end of the day, I should just do it. But I just didn't know if I would ever, because when me personally, right, I'm on TikTok, I'm kind of just scrolling. It's like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not trying to find anyone in particular. So I thought everyone would be like that, but it's not. And people
Well,
do.
I will say, like, I've had a few people come from TikTok over to Twitch, but honestly, I could probably count on one hand how many people have actually done. Like, it is
Sure.
compared to how many videos I have put
Maybe
out,
popped
it's
in but didn't
very
stay.
small. Exactly. Yeah. There's maybe been like one or two people that have consistently come back. So it's a very small percentage of the people that you
Hmm.
do interact with on there. But they also, they follow you on TikTok and then we'll see other videos and that can help promote other
Yeah.
videos in the future, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's also been really interesting because I have found with TikTok sort of a similar trend that I saw when I was doing stand up, which was when I first started doing stand up, I was like, I don't know, what am I going to write a joke about? Like, I went to the store yesterday. Okay. I don't know. But after you do it for a while, your brain starts looking at everything through the lens of stand up. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, that could be a joke, or oh, this thing happening, that could be a joke,
Hmm.
like, and you just start looking at things a little different. And I found sort of a similar thing with TikTok, where I was like, what the hell am I gonna make videos about? And then literally, I was out on a walk and was like, oh, I could do this. Oh, this could be a thing, and you just start looking at things through a slightly different lens. And then it just sort of starts gaining its own momentum
I think
in a
that
way.
goes back to what I was saying in the beginning, like the reaction type videos that's in the
Hmm.
moment, like you didn't know what was going to happen. It is a reaction
Yeah,
of some sort, you know what I mean? Like it's not
yeah.
your biggest TikTok isn't you playing, dancing, or doing something. It was something that
Hmm.
just casually happened out of the blue,
Just
and
happened.
you know what I mean. So I think those are
Exactly.
always going to be the biggest things. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
other things pop off, but I've heard of too where like I hate that TikTok is so viewer based with your growth, right?
Mhm.
They don't do a good job promoting anyone but who's at the top. The only people promoting people at the bottom are other people. Like it's
Yeah.
just other people promoting or other small streamers promoting other small streamers, or it's really hard to get out there. Twitch itself is not doing it,
Yeah.
where
100%.
I do feel like YouTube is doing that more. Do you feel like you'll always stay true to Twitch, or do you see yourself moving over somewhere if it ends up? Because me, I feel like YouTube's almost there. They're almost at that point where I could see myself
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
streaming on YouTube.
It's a tough question because in my head, I mean, the one thing that Twitch has over every other platform is the sense of community. Like there's a sense of community on Twitch that is non-existent on YouTube because YouTube covers so many different types
Mm-hmm.
of content, whereas Twitch is primarily gaming.
Yeah.
But like so like gut reaction is like, no, I could never leave Twitch. Like how I couldn't even consider it. But it's like I am trying to look at this like a business and think of this as a way to support myself with this. And so I have to think about it like that way as well. And at the end of the day, Twitch is making improvements to its platform. They've started to change a little bit of the way that they push out new viewers and or new channels to folks. But they feel like they're rolling out things so slowly that
Yes.
it just feels like they don't really care as much. Whereas
Yeah.
YouTube has added so many features to their live streaming that it's like any day now they could very easily surpass Twitch. And also because Twitch is owned by Amazon, Amazon doesn't need Twitch
Yeah.
to
True.
support itself. Amazon could completely
Very true.
be fine without it. So, like, if one day Amazon is like, yeah, we're just going to stop supporting Twitch and just shut it down, I wouldn't really be surprised. So I think I would love for Twitch to continue to improve its platform and for to be able to stay there. But at the end of the day, I think it's very important to keep that consideration of YouTube open. And it's been really another really nice thing working with Robert on CoOp Comedy. We've been able to explore working on YouTube a little bit more, and we've talked about the idea of doing sort of co-op comedy live streams on YouTube, so we can both check that out. Um, but it's tricky. It's a tricky thought. I luckily I think that I'm still at a place where it feels like I have like, oh, everything I've done is on Twitch. So if I went to YouTube, it's all gone. But it's like really comparatively, I'm still a very small
Sure. Yeah.
creator. So it is a feasible move if I needed to move to YouTube. So it's definitely something that I have considered. But for now, I'm just gonna continue working on
Yeah.
Twitch because there's such a nice community there.
I will say, yeah, they do have a. I feel like YouTube's always been the place for trolls, and not that there's not any
Hmm.
on Twitch, but I do feel like it's more, especially with small streamers, right? Because I'm I'm noticing more because when I was on YouTube, you just see big streamers because their videos are coming out. You don't really
Yeah.
see smaller streamers videos, maybe every now and then, but it wasn't bringing me to their channels like a big streamer was. But when I actually
Mhm.
dived into Twitch, I started noticing all the smaller, I should say quote unquote smaller streamers,
Yeah.
and their communities seem so more wholesome, and that's what brought me in immediately to.
Yeah.
I don't look for people with 10,000 viewers. That
Right.
doesn't bring me in. I'm looking for people, and it's not really necessarily a view count more so than it is like what their community has brought. And you seem to have also built an awesome community, and
Oh, love them.
it seems to be really cool that you're able to merge communities as well, working with someone else. Because when you're a genuine person, I feel like genuine people find yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's been great, and and YouTube has like they've been working on things that can help build a community because I think like Twitch had some features that help build communities, like the emotes and the
Yeah,
subscriber badges, but now YouTube is out of those too. So it's like it's only a matter
exactly.
of time before people start building up these communities there, or they have communities but they're like on Discord rather than on their YouTube. But
YouTube seems
yeah,
very
it's
hyper
definitely
aware of the growth they need to do. They've literally added every measure of it. If it's the
yeah,
shorts or before they had like clips, I think, which were like Instagram, the stories, the stories, I
yeah,
believe. So they're going everywhere. They're onto the streaming part
yeah,
now too. And I really wish with all the growth that Twitch saw in that year of pandemic that they would have done something to
yeah,
try and improve their platform. It just didn't really seem like they did much. I will say they did do a great job of promoting, um, not people in general, but like Black Lives Matter, Pride Month. They've done a
yeah,
very
yeah.
good job of being able to give voice to people that haven't quite had a voice on other platforms. So I will say they've done a great job about that. But other than that, I haven't really seen too much from them or too much of an
Yeah.
upgrade in the Twitch uh, website.
Yeah, no, no, 100%. They just roll out things very slowly, like it. And what I find specifically interesting with that is like I said, they're owned by Amazon, so it's not like they
Mm-hmm.
don't have the
Yeah,
resources to
exactly.
devote to this. So I don't know. They would really need to really start cranking out some improvements. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
even saying that Twitch is a bad platform and needs a ton of improvements, but to compete with places like YouTube that like YouTube already has built-in things that make them better than Twitch for certain things. Like if you stream on YouTube, once that stream ends, it lives on your channel forever as a video, which works with Twitch too, but only for X amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody goes to your Twitch and watches a VOD from last week, that doesn't add anything to your channel, whereas on YouTube that counts towards your monetization
True.
hours that you need
Yeah,
to
that's
be
very
able to
true.
monetize. So they already have things structured in some ways that make it better for the creator than Twitch does. So
That's the other thing. I think as a smaller streamer, I don't really worry about it now because it would never be a problem. But if anyone ever got bigger, I definitely see that's the biggest issue is the monetization between YouTube and Twitch, where people on
yeah,
YouTube are able to make way more money than people on Twitch because they do take their 50% of everything, So,
yeah,
and then once again,
yeah,
it's owned by
among other things.
Amazon, so it's like, what are you
Yeah,
guys
like what are
doing?
you doing? You don't need this. Yeah, it's wild.
All right, so we've been live for about 50 minutes now, and I like to say during
Oh
about
wow,
halfway, we start our rapid fire questions.
let's go.
All right.
Let's do it.
So
All right.
I've added a few more. Just the
Ooh,
first
okay.
first first thing that pops into your mind. My dog's going crazy back here. All right, you ready?
What's your dog's name? Wait.
Steve.
What's your dog's name? Steve? What a
Steve,
great
come
name
on.
for a dog. Oh, I love dogs. I love dogs so much. This apartment that I live in is the first place I've lived in my life
All right,
that
lay down.
doesn't have a dog.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I grew up with dogs. My family always had like at least two dogs in the house. And then the first place I moved to, when I moved out, they had a dog. And now we just have two cats, which are great, but I love
Okay, well,
dogs.
what a perfect way to start my rapid fire questions. Cat or dog?
Dogs, 100%.
Excuse me. What's your favorite
Easy.
color?
Favorite color? Pink.
Okay. Dream vacation spot.
Oh, Scotland.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Beautiful there. Best pizza toppings.
Pepperoni.
Okay.
Easy.
First game you ever played?
For like board game, video game, just
Sure,
game in
anything.
general.
Tag.
Oh my god, yeah, probably like handball.
Okay.
Like old school handball, just a ball and a wall.
Favorite game of all time?
Borderlands, the series.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
It's multiple games,
Yeah.
but
I like it.
yeah.
How many holes does a straw have?
One.
I like it. Best Thanksgiving side dish.
Mashed potatoes.
All right. Favorite actor to play Batman?
That has already played Batman?
I mean, if you want to put Robert Pattinson
Or
in
if
there,
there's,
but
like-
you know.
Well, I mean, like, if I could pick somebody to play Batman in the future, or is it favorite actor that has already
Give me
played
one of
Batman?
each. I like that.
Okay. Let's go with I don't remember the movies very well, but I remember liking George Clooney's Batman.
Okay.
And let's see, new actor to play Batman. It would just be wild. Let's go with Jim Carrey. I just like him.
Wow.
Just
All
wanna
right.
see
Was
what he would
also
do.
in
I don't
a
think
Batman.
he's a good fit.
Was also in a
He was,
Batman
yeah,
movie.
he's the Riddler. There you go.
All right. Is cheesecake a cake or a pie?
Oh, it's a pie. It's a pie.
I'm just trying to convert everybody to that thought. Okay.
I want it to be a cake, but I think if I'm honest with
All right.
myself, it's a pie.
All right. Who was the best Power Ranger?
Oh, I loved the Green Ranger.
Okay.
I don't remember his name, but I was
Tommy.
all about the Green Ranger. Tommy.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, Tommy. Oh yeah, all about it.
If you had to choose one condiment to have with every meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? You got to put it on everything too.
You have to
You
put it
gotta
on
put
everything.
it on everything.
I'm gonna go with ranch dressing.
All right. Would you rather explore space or the ocean?
Oh, space.
All right. I like that.
Ocean is scary.
So with that, if aliens came down and we had to choose one person to represent humanity, who would you choose? That is like alive right now on the earth.
One person. It would have to be. Oh, you know what? Betty White.
Wow.
Let's go with
Okay.
Betty White.
Interesting.
She's lovely.
I might have to. Okay. All right. We'll keep it going. I might have to get into that one. Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation.
Okay. Which Pokemon best describes your personality?
Probably Dragonite, who was
Oh.
my favorite when I was a kid. He's just
Perfect.
a big derpy, just a big derp.
And most importantly, is water wet?
Yes.
Okay. I'll
Yes.
All right. I'll let you. I'm not gonna
instinct,
judge anybody
yes.
on their questions. I'll just, I'll let them live with their bad decisions.
Because water is surrounded by water. If it's in like a tank, it's surrounded by water, right? So then the water.
Well,
Yes.
in that sense, the aquarium would be wet.
It is.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Okay.
It's all wet. Everything's wet.
I saw a video on Twitter this past week. Maybe other people saw it. It's an actual thing that happened in the news. But the Gulf of Mexico had like a pipe bust, and the ocean was on fire. I don't know if anyone saw this, but it was like a flame spewing out of the ocean, right? And they were
insane.
Yeah, and they were using water from the ocean to put out the water. So I think water is wet in that sense, like I don't know, maybe that's changing, but I don't know how we go about that.
Seal the deal there.
And then I know no one's asking me, but I think if I were to choose someone to represent humanity, I'm going with The Rock, right? Strong, great looking, funny, smart. I think he talks well. I think he's the perfect person to choose. And then, if they get a little, he's just knocking them out.
Just right there. Shut down the whole
Exactly.
race.
I think that's the perfect person to represent humanity. But Betty White,
She's kind.
she better bring cookies.
She's like, who doesn't like Betty White?
That's true.
Who doesn't like? Everyone is just instantly drawn to Betty White. So if we're gonna send anybody, they should be very compassionate. Should be just invite them over for some tea. Like, let's sit down, let's have some lemonade. Let's just talk as two beings. And
I think every year I see a fake Betty White died post. Every year, without fail, there's gonna be a Betty White died, and then I look it up and she's actually still alive. It's crazy.
It's totally fine. Yeah, the theater that I used to work at before the pandemic, she came to visit one day,
awesome.
and she they had everyone else go into the theater and be seated until they brought her in, because they were like, we don't want anyone to know that she's here, not because she didn't want to meet fans, but because like she is getting pretty old now. So like if a fan is like, let me just have a hug, and like you hug Betty White too hard, like that's it. Like, this is Betty White. So you have to be really careful with her.
Gotta keep her around. Oh, that's awesome. How was did that just the theater always come natural to everything? Did you see yourself wanting to do that, or did it just an opportunity come across and you jumped on it?
Yes and no. I've always loved performing and just being like I've always loved being in front of the camera as opposed to behind the camera or rather like when I go and watch a play, I'd rather be in a play than watching a
Sure.
play.
Yeah,
Like
I
and
see
I
that.
love knowing what's going on behind it. Yeah. And so I've always been drawn to like performing in some aspects, but they're like I've done acting and acting classes and comedy and there's been so many times where I'm like, is this for me? Is this what I want to do? But like doing Twitch and content creation has felt like this really nice blend of like performing or acting and just being a genuine human being, which you don't always get with acting. And it's
That's
just
true.
felt like it's clicked in a different way. But I love acting. I'm supposed to be. I filmed this like little indie film right before the pandemic, and we're supposed to be refilming the summer at some point. So I'm
Oh,
still
okay.
looking forward to that and all that. But
Amazing.
yeah.
So it's been, I'm sure it's been slow opening up, and I know there's been recent talk of shutdowns again
hmm
and everything
hmm
going on. Is there any light at the end of the tunnel right now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, with for the world or for theater specifically.
Theater, I
Okay, yeah.
hope there's light for the world. I really do.
I think so. I think yes for both. Yeah, with theater especially, I think a lot of theaters, some quicker than others, but a lot of theaters were very quick to adapt to doing shows online.
True,
In
yeah.
fact, I was able to get a job with one of the theater companies that used to come and perform at the theater I worked at all the time. They started doing their shows on Twitch, and they're an improv company, and they needed people who knew OBS and how to run and operate on Twitch. So I actually started working with them, and I run OBS while they do their shows on Twitch.
That's
So like they
awesome.
just do it on a Zoom call, and I help get it to Twitch. So that's been like this perfect. I got to put Twitch experience on a
Yeah.
resume, which was like the coolest thing in the world. But yeah, I think and some folks have started to reopen. I think live shows are still going to be very tricky because I think for a while some of them might still have to operate at a reduced capacity, but so many of them like max capacity is breaking even for them. So like to operate at a reduced capacity, I don't know how feasible it's going to be for a lot of the smaller theaters. But live shows have been like a saving grace for a lot of them, I think, and have allowed them to continue to make shows and keep an audience engaged that they can't engage with in person anymore. So I definitely think there's a light. I think it's very tricky and it's very uncertain as to what theater and that whole world is going to look like moving forward. But I think it's definitely going to be okay soon
Hope
or at some
I'm
point.
hoping so. I like
Yeah,
theater. I truly do.
yeah, oh,
Uh,
it's great. Yeah,
the
good
Book of
times.
Mormon is a
We
great
had
one.
tickets to see that, and then the pandemic hit,
Oh
and we had to
man.
return them. But
Ah, that's such a
it's on my
bummer.
list.
S-
Yeah, it
s-
sounds like a great show.
So you seem like a jack of all trades when it comes to the content creation and the improv and theater and stand up even. Is there something
Mhm.
that if it blew up you would pay more attention to?
Um, I mean, really all of it in a way. It feels to
It
me
all feels
like
like branding,
uh
right?
yeah, yeah. To me, it's it's all related, and I think in a perfect world, I would love to keep doing it all, even if something else blew up specifically. But I mean, honestly, if any of it blew up, great. I don't think there's one thing in particular that I would latch onto more than it and more than the others, but I think in a perfect world I would just continue to do a mix of all of it. I would love to continue doing Twitch and also be able to do like in-person stand-up shows or whatever or improv shows and do voice acting or all that and continue making sketch videos with Jose and make co-op comedy videos with Robert and it's just I have so much fun doing all of it and it's like if any of it blows up at all, great. Like I will use that to then continue to fuel the rest of them.
No, it's awesome.
Um,
I don't know. I think I see it's so difficult because stand-up comedians in particular, especially during the pandemic where they weren't able to do live shows. Sure, some of them did
mhm,
the
mhm.
web shows and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but you saw more people get into podcasting, more people get into their
Mhm,
YouTube
mhm.
thing. I hope stand-up comedy doesn't just disappear because I love it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know I love to laugh. My wife hates it, but that's what
Yeah.
I throw up on at the end of the night. Like when I'm laying down getting ready for bed, I'm throwing
Yeah.
up some random stand-up comedy because I like to giggle before I go to bed, you
Yeah.
know?
No, I don't think stand-up is going stand-up comics are so stubborn.
Oh
They're
man.
not going anywhere. Because when the pandemic hit, so many like so much of the comedy scene is just like open mics, stand-up
Yeah.
open mics throughout
Yeah.
Los Angeles or Chicago or wherever. And when the pandemic hit, most of them stopped doing it
Yeah.
because you're in person with a microphone in a small room with a bunch of people, but some of them kept doing live shows for a long time. And now they've started to reintroduce live open mics and stuff like that too. So they're coming back already. They've just been like, and now, like, they moved on it immediately. So they're definitely still going.
Yeah, so you know, obviously Texas, Florida, certain states were, you know, allowing people to perform, and then you have like Dave,
Yeah,
the big juggernauts, Dave Chappelle, just saying, "Forget it, I'm gonna record my own thing," and
I'm gonna do
wherever
this
he
here.
did,
Yeah,
you know. So I think that's super awesome to see stand-up comedy, and that's so it's a branding in itself, right? Like, you know,
yeah,
because it's
yeah.
you and you're selling your jokes and everything like that. Do you feel like it becomes different, or can you collaborate your experiences from Twitch and improv and everything into writing stand-up jokes?
Oh no, absolutely. Because it's kind of been amazing seeing how much overlap there is with Twitch and like the general world of acting and stand up. Stand up is a little different because like I feel like both of them you are essentially marketing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Even though on Twitch you're like I'm marketing myself as RoboDessert as opposed to
Sure.
myself,
Yeah.
Chris. Like with stand up, it's like you're marketing you
Mm-hmm.
as a person. And like I think so there's so much overlap there. And just with the world of acting, it's been such a familiar experience coming in, and because in the world of acting, there's like 6 million people trying to be an actor at any one point, and it's very similar on Twitch. There's like six, so you're really trying to figure out like where can I fit into this? How can I stand out? How can I do this? And but at the end of the day, it really comes down to you as the individual,
Mm-hmm.
and what you can. Because like with acting, it's like yeah, there's a lot of people trying to be an actor. There's a lot of roles out there, but it's like only one. You're gonna fit specific roles that nobody else is gonna fit.
Yeah,
Like me and you wouldn't necessarily go for the same roles. So even though we're competing in a sense, we're not
that
really
makes
competing
sense.
either.
Yeah.
And I feel very similar on Twitch. Like there's at the end of the day, to an extent, there's room for all of these different people there. So yeah, I think it's very similar in most ways. I would say it's just like different roads on the same path.
No, I think
I
I
guess
like
is what
that.
I'm saying.
Have you ever done a stand-up stream? Have you ever brought your content
No,
over to the Twitch world?
I have in that another channel point I added is called Sit Down Stand Up, where
Okay.
I just pull up like I had this Google Doc with like just like 10 pages of old stand-up material because anytime I had an idea I would just write it down on that Google Doc and like rework it. So one of the channel points was just to make me read an old stand-up joke that I used to tell. But honestly, when the pandemic hit, I had only been doing stand-up for like a year or two, so I was still pretty new to it anyways. But I haven't done like a stand-up stream. I once found a video of like the first time I performed stand-up, so I showed that off. But like aside from that, it's so different doing things, especially comedy, because comedy is all about this like instant gratification of like I say a thing, you laugh, it happens immediately.
Yeah.
Whereas on Twitch, I say a thing and it's dead silent until somebody types in the chat LOL. Like you
Yeah.
don't it's so different because like doing like open mics and stuff when you tell jokes the laughter and stuff gives you
Yeah.
energy which like changes the way you perform so you don't have that and like people still do online shows like you were talking about so like people it's still possible but it's just feels
Oh, I'm
so
sure.
different.
And I've even seen people talk. Bo Burnham, his latest, s- I don't
Oh,
even know what to call it.
inside,
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't
his
even know what to really call it.
special, yeah,
Special musical stand-up deal.
yeah.
It kind of goes into a lot of that, and kind of goes into a lot of the
Hmm.
feelings, and I feel like a lot of it, even as a content, trying to be a content creator, it's like, yeah, it's so difficult to try and do everything while you're inside,
Hmm.
and trying to do
Yeah.
everything and be a have a career, because like at the end of the day, I
Hmm.
do want to grow my career outside of just Twitch. You know, I want, you know, this is what
Yeah.
I'm doing now. It's what pays the bills, and I want that to be successful, as well as trying to do this. If the world comes back to normal, do you see yourself having to reschedule things more? And are you, is there something that you would have to sacrifice time wise to make that happen?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I've been both constantly thinking about this and constantly trying to avoid thinking about this because
Sorry
like
to ask
eh,
them.
no, it's all very relevant and I think it's an important topic to consider in this world, especially now, as things start to reopen up. But like I just remember being at my theater job and just like hating everything because the job was fine, but it was just so not for me. It was a job I fell into. It was a good job, but it was
Monotonous.
just not what and I was there for like I think 4 or 5 years, and I was just like, I got to get out of here. And it literally took a pandemic to get me out of the job. And so I've been so unbelievably happy and just loving everything on Twitch that like when thinking about having to change any of that feels so difficult. But I think absolutely there's gonna come some time where I'm gonna have to find some other job or whatever. But I think for me, my focus is going to be sacrificing whatever this other job is, in the sense that like I'm really going to focus on finding another job that fits with the schedule I already have or as close to it as I can, which means that like because I stream during the day, so that
Mm-hmm.
means I'm going to find something during the night, which will give me less time to edit videos or do these other things. So like if I'm streaming those, so I might have to stream one day less a week, or like there's going something's going to have to give somewhere, and I don't know exactly what it is yet. But yeah, that's definitely been on my mind a lot. Uh, and yeah, I don't know what it's going to look like, and because it feels like things are reopening so quickly, but I've also heard talk of like, there's this Delta variant, and it's like
Yeah.
as much as I feel like this is right around the corner and tomorrow I'm gonna have to give up my stream schedule, like it still could be offset for another year or so. I
Yeah.
don't know. So I think right now for me, I'm trying to just focus on making as much content as I can and trying to improve my content as much as I can. So that way, as I have to start shifting that, there's already like a foundation that I can sort
Sure.
of rest sort of hang what is left on it, so to speak. So
Yeah.
if I have to just completely obliterate my schedule or something, then there's something there that's concrete to hold on to, I guess.
I asked mainly because I am trying. I work a full time job. I have a family. Who's trying to spend time with the
Mhm.
kids. So those draining, daunting thoughts of like, what do I give up right now? Like, do I want to
Yeah.
focus on YouTube? Well, maybe I should just focus on one. Maybe I should just focus on either streaming or whatever. Because I feel like I was sometimes doing too much.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is there something that is able to settle your brain and be able to not necessarily get the thoughts out, but be able to once again compartmentalize your thoughts and schedule stuff out? Because it's always hard for me to be able to actually place it where I need to.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that's something that I still struggle with regards to figuring out like what to focus on, because I think right now one of the like I think for me my primary focuses are like my stream and co-op comedy, especially co-op because it now involves another person. So like I feel like if I stop doing my YouTube or if I stop streaming, I can't let that die. You know what
Sure.
I mean? Like, because
Mm-hmm.
now two people have invested time
Yeah.
into this. And I'm not saying that like I want to, and I'm only doing it because I feel like I have to. I love co-op comedy and what we've been doing. Um, but like I feel like I still struggle with figuring out how to get all that out. I I need to start paying my girlfriend because I spent a lot of time talking to her about it, like so much time, and just getting her input on. Hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Do you think this would be a good idea? Can you look at this video real quick? What do you think of this? And so I think just talking to other people and honestly, like talking like conversations like this with other content
Yeah.
creators, especially like talking to Robert about this. We've been up at like 2 in the morning being like, yeah, what do you think of this? What do you think is going to happen when this happens? It's I think it's really important to find the community like that of the creators um that you vibe with, so that you can share these struggles with them and talk
Yeah.
about it with them and get input from somebody who's also doing the same thing.
Exactly.
Because I love my girlfriend and she's so wise, but she's also not doing Twitch, so
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to have the outside perspective and the inside perspective,
Exactly.
and sort of just get input from both areas.
No, that's awesome. You have someone in your life that can help you through those moments. I try and find myself where like I don't I bother her with work stuff, and then I'm
Hmm.
bothering
Hmm.
her with like Twitch and
Yeah.
like this other stuff, and it's like okay, maybe I need to focus which one I'm coming to her about. So that's why I'm glad I have
Yeah.
a friend that will listen to my rambling, and I
Yeah.
truly know he doesn't care.
Hmm.
Like he doesn't care, but it's like, well, you're my best fucking friend, so I'm definitely telling you, and you got to listen to me.
Yeah.
So, you
Deal
know,
with it.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
think that's a little bit different. But has your girlfriend been that main person to be able to push you, other than like that thing inside you that's like, oh, I got to do it
Hmm.
because I'm doing this thing with Robert or whatever? But is she the main person that's been able to help you and push you along the way?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like it's been sort of I've been so grateful for so many friends that I've had before the pandemic, specifically because as I've gone into Twitch, like every single one of them has been like, yeah, do it. Like some of my friends from before the pandemic are now my moderators on the channel, and
It's
like
awesome.
they're there all the stream. And this sign that's behind me, this neon sign, right? Where
Right
the hell
there.
is right there? One of my friends, Jose, who I do the videos with, he made that for
Oh
me
wow.
for Christmas. He just made it with it's like an LED neon, and so like
Oh,
everyone has been so supportive of doing this, my girlfriend included, and every single one of them is like, "This is what you want to do? Yeah, fucking go for it." And I think it helps because we're all essentially in a creative field in some way. Like Jose's an actor,
sure. Okay.
my roommate is an actor and is into writing, and she now does a podcast, and like we're all sort of in that field where it's like it's all jobs that a lot of people I don't want to say look down on, but it's none of us have quote unquote real jobs. You know what I mean?
Sure.
When people are like, it's always like, oh, you're an actor, so what's your real job? Like
Yeah.
that's cute. Like, but what do you
The
do? You know,
struggling
so
artist
we're
life.
very used exactly. Yeah, we're all very used to that, and so we're all very supportive of each other within those. So it's been really nice to have my
That's
girlfriend
cool.
and others being able to be like, yeah, do it,
That's
go do
super
that thing.
cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like even I don't post my like Facebook. Like I try not to do it on Twitter because I don't want to be that guy on Twitter that's always just self-promoting himself and everything.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't feel as bad with the Dash Assault because I actually feel like I'm promoting them more so than me in that moment.
Hmm,
I don't know.
hmm.
Maybe I'm not, but it feels like it. So I just
Yeah.
I mark it off as that. But with like YouTube, I try not to post every YouTube on my Twitter or I think Instagram would
Hmm,
be a better
hmm.
spot for that probably to post every YouTube video or maybe TikTok to get like a clip of something. I don't know how
Yeah.
I don't quite know yet. I'm still trying to figure that out. With Facebook though, like those are actually like real quote unquote friends, acquaintances I've met over
Hmm.
time, you know? And they're not people that are content creators or in that
Yeah.
world and
Yeah.
stuff, you know? It's people working 9 to 5 jobs and stuff. So like I feel
Hmm.
so weird if I post something there about the content creation. And I'm sure people would be supportive, but I just don't do it, you know, because it's like, oh,
No,
these are
I'm
people working
same. I never
hard
post
jobs.
anything on Twitter. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it's crazy because like I've become like especially like defensive of Twitch and content creation now, having done it even more because I'm like it takes so much work
Mm-hmm.
to make this even moderately successful. I'm not even talking about like Ninja or
Oh
anyone
no.
on like that sort of like any success within content creation takes an unbelievable amount of work. So for anyone to call it like not a real job, I'm like, let me fight you in the street right now. But no, I'm 100% the same way. I like almost never post anything about Twitch on Facebook because I'm like, you guys are doing something totally different. It feels like two completely different
It
worlds
does,
almost. I
yeah.
think, yeah, it's so different.
Yeah, I'm not ashamed by anything I do, and if anything, I'm
Hmm.
proud of the stuff I'm trying to put out. I don't think I've had a video out that hasn't had a problem. Like I'm actually having issues right now with posting YouTube, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
because I'm a perfectionist and I just want everything to sound perfect and be perfect and
Hmm,
stuff to
hmm.
sync the way it needs to, and it just hasn't
Yep.
been that way. What do you do in those moments where you can't get things perfect? Do you just settle, or do you?
I yeah, yeah, it is rough because I know exactly what you mean. I mean, I think there is a point where you have to just let it go. Like I don't want to say you have to be like okay with mediocrity or anything like that, but it's like there have been so many times where like I film a video and I'm like, man, I really don't like the video quality on this, but it's like I think getting it out there in the end will be more important than spending that extra 2
Sure,
hours
yeah.
on tweaking that one thing, depending on exactly what it is. But like because I think with so many things within the world of content creation or like acting or stand up or like whatever it is, there's so many areas in life where that perfectionism will prevent you from doing things more than it will actually help you improve.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you're like, this isn't perfect, so I'm not going to release it, and then you never release it. So just getting it out, the act of releasing it from your control, getting it into the world, letting other people see it, even though it's not perfect, will do more for you in the long run, I think, than really getting nitty gritty with every detail. And you know, still try to make sure that everything is perfect as much as I can. But I think there's um, I think there's more value in releasing okay content and growing over time with that than trying to make the first video or whatever it is that you do perfect the first time because it's gonna
Yeah.
consume you.
Yeah, first like my first video I paid someone to edit. It was like a it's like a 10-minute Monopoly video, or maybe
Mm.
longer than that. I don't know, but they weren't charging a lot, and it was very simple edits and everything. And at the end of it, I was like, well, I could have done this. Let me just
Mm-hmm.
learn a little bit. So then I tried getting into editing, and oh man, it's been a nightmare every step of the way.
Editing is
I
rough.
I told Robert during when I was talking to him, but I'm truly impressed with y'all's thumbnails, the titles of y'all's
Thank you.
videos. Um, it just seems so seamless and it flows, especially with like your series videos. If it's Raft or
Mm.
whatever, it seems to be very thought out even, where like I'm sitting there for like 20 minutes when I post a video, like, well, what do I name this one? Or I go back through it and I'm like, well, is there something I can talk about during, what am I supposed to
Yeah,
do here?
yeah,
Or what, a thumbnail? Now I got to think of a thumbnail. What do I put in an
yeah,
image? How does
yeah.
that come to you or to y'all so seamlessly?
I honestly, I don't think it does seamlessly. I think it appears seamless, but I think having two people, we're able to take that, because I've done that for my own YouTube videos all the time of like, God, what do I make this thumbnail look like? And I have literally spent like 3 or 4 hours making a thumbnail for a YouTube short that got like 11 views. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, but so
That's
I,
me
I
right
I know
now.
exactly what you're talking about. But like, I think it's one thing that has helped us is the fact that we're two people. We're able to bounce those same ideas off of each other much more quickly. So we sort of ping pong it back and forth immediately, as opposed to spreading it out over, 2 hours or so. But I think it also helped a lot that we were able to spend some time on our own, making our own YouTube channels and making our own thumbnails and doing that. So we sort of got some experience on YouTube individually. So by the time we got to come together for co-op, we had sort of already learned some of what worked and some of what didn't
Yeah.
work. And like I said, we approached so much of it in with the similar mindset that it became very easy to just go like, does this look good? Yes, okay, cool, and then just pop it out there. Um, I think there's we've definitely gone through some learning of our own on co-op of like, do we use our real faces? Do we use these little
Yeah.
cartoon characters for the thumbnails? What titles work best? What doesn't? And it's still a learning experience for sure. But yeah, it has definitely helped having two people to share that mental load of like, what do we do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it's so difficult because like you go through when I'm doing a thumbnail, whatever. It's like my immediate thought is go to YouTube, look up the video that you're posting about. What's the most common thumbnail idea, and
Yep.
just do
Yep.
that, And
Yep.
um,
No, I basically copied the exact thumbnail of another video the other day because it was like that's basically what I was going to do anyway. So let's do that, and then just put it out there.
exactly. Okay,
So
well,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
glad I'm not the only one that's
not at all.
okay.
That I think that's really like what we do in co-op too, and I think that's really one of the best ways to learn is like go see like other videos that are similar to what you're trying to post. Like, what are those thumbnails? Find
Mm-hmm.
find the videos that have performed well, and like take it with a grain of salt because some of those videos perform well because those channels are already big. It's not
For sure.
necessarily just the thumbnail or whatever. But like, what do their thumbnails look like? What do their titles include? How are people searching for this type of content? Like if you're making a video game guide, or if you go to YouTube and type in like uh Grand Theft Auto tips, are people searching for Grand Theft Auto tips? Are they searching for Grand Theft Auto tutorial guide? Like what are the words that people are
That's
using to
true.
search
Yeah.
for? And that sort of thing helps with like titles.
Mm-hmm.
But thumbnails, oh man, thumbnails are their own
They
world
really are.
entirely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I struggle with the logo versus face thing as well, or no, like the
Hmm.
podcast.
Hmm.
It's just the name, that person's logo and or face, depending on what they have or what they're using to represent themselves. So when that's easy, and just do that, and it's whatever. But with the thumbnail, it's like, do I just Macaulay Culkin every
Yeah.
thumbnail
Yep.
and
Yep.
just
Every single time.
copy and
Because
paste
that stuff
here?
works. Yeah,
It
it's
is.
that's the stuff that gets people's attention. So it feels so cheesy
It
to just be like
does.
and slap that on a
Yeah.
YouTube thumbnail, but it's like, but that's what people are clicking on, so I guess that's what we'll do.
I guess, yeah. It seems, I don't know, like I, I battle personally where I never want to feel clickbaity or
Mhm,
like
mhm.
handouty. You know what I mean? Like this,
Yes.
I don't know. Even with Twitch, I try and not do anything that's like farming subs or farming
Yeah.
follows or anything like that, because I don't want it to seem
100%.
ingenuine. And I feel
Right.
like that kind of goes towards the clickbaity thing, is like, I don't want to trick you into watching my video. I just want you to watch the video. But I
Right.
think more and more I realize I gotta trick everybody into clicking this dang video,
Yeah,
you know?
everything is just a little bit of a trick. You
Yeah.
instead of putting a title that's a statement, put it as a question, and then they have to
Yeah.
come and
Oh,
answer the question or
exactly. That's
something. You know,
such a
it's
good
just like
idea.
just a little bit of a trick to hook them in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels so gross sometimes to be like, "Ooh, look at this funny reaction," or whatever. But it's like, but that's sort of the meta or however you want to describe it of YouTube right now. So that's what you got to do
Right.
sometimes, and it's garbage. But here we are.
So if you could go back and tell yourself some things in the
Hmm.
beginning, what are some things you would tell yourself right away? To
Oh
not worry
man.
about or to focus on this, you know?
Yeah. Oh man, that's a really good question. I think one thing would be to like not everything is as big as it feels. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
like there's so much time that we spend like thinking about like I know, like for myself, like I make a weekly schedule now, and part of that started a schedule for my streams, and part of that came from like when I first started streaming, I would like spend like an hour the night before, like, oh God, what game am I gonna play tomorrow? Do I want to play this game? Are people interested in this game? I don't know. Maybe I should play this other game. But this game doesn't have as many viewers onto it. Like just constantly like, that sort of thing, and like on a certain level, there's just so much of it that feels so important, but it would only be important if you were larger already. Does that make sense? Like
Mm-hmm.
on smaller levels for smaller creators, there's a lot of stuff that it just doesn't matter. In a good way. In a good way. I'm not saying like the stuff that you're doing doesn't matter, but like there's so much pressure that we put on ourselves that like it doesn't matter yet. Like as smaller creators, you have a lot more flexibility with what you're doing in terms of content,
True.
what your schedule is, how you design your colors or logos, and I mean I have spent countless hours designing my own panels, and I've had like 6 or 7 different types of panels for the Twitch about section, and it's just like I'm not saying that the design or whatever doesn't matter, but it's like at a smaller level, people are looking at that less, or there's those details that don't matter as much yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like don't stress about those details. Like sure, put time into developing them, but like take the pressure off. Just
Yeah,
dive in
100%.
and go do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's so hard because you're like, well, especially in the beginning, because you only have so many people watching you, and if it does go
Hmm.
up, you're like,
Hmm.
oh, that's awesome, you know. And it's like, well, why did they tune in? Was it this game? Was it this game? So even still now, um, when I'm not doing a podcast, I don't know what to stream all the time, and I've
Yeah.
made a schedule. But I've given myself the cop out of not putting a game to it, so I can kind of like,
Hmm.
okay, well, I don't know, maybe I'll just play this today. But then again,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. Sometimes all day I know I'm going to stream that day, but I still don't know what I'm streaming that day. So
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
becomes like I'm almost thinking about it all day of like, what do people want to see? You know, what is it? And I think actually that is kind of where a Discord comes in handy, where
Yeah.
you have almost a social media that's attached straight to your viewers, and
Yes.
people
Yes.
interested in you. Have you seen that help you along the way, being able to not
Oh
only
yeah.
interact but get an idea of what people want to see?
Absolutely, yeah. I remember when I first started Discord, I was like, "What is the point of this?" Like, I had no interaction with Discord until I started making one for my channel.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I was like, "I don't really understand the point of this," but it's so nice to have a place where you can post and interact with the people that already know where your channel is. Because
Yeah.
like if I was to post like some of the stuff I post on my Discord on Twitter, it would feel so weird because it's a more public general space. But having a space that's like specific to your channel where you can ask your community like what do you want to see from this channel, does this, what do you want to see going forward. It's been so nice to have that extra space to interact with the community in a more direct and focused way. And I feel like it's just so much easier to post certain like promotional, like you were talking about, like posting your YouTube, every YouTube video or stuff. Like I feel like
Exactly.
Discord is the best place
Yeah.
for that because it's like maybe not everyone is going to interact with that or click on that, but it's like, but you know that this is a place where people are here for you and the content that you're
Exactly.
making. So posting that there every time, whether or not they're interested in that particular video, it's like this is a place where we can post that every
Mm-hmm.
time,
It's a
or that
safe
sort of thing.
space.
Yeah, it is. It really, yeah, it's a safe space that's in, and like sort of like you were saying, it's focused on your channel or your content. So it's
Hmm.
nice to have that like zeroed in,
No,
especially with schedules.
Discord can very easily feel overwhelming, especially when you join
Yes.
other channels and y'all. I hear people like freak out when they say they got 10 notifications. You don't want to know how many notifications are on mine.
No.
It would probably blow some people's minds. I'm the type of person that
Yeah.
has like 50,000 emails unread.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
I'm that guy.
I
So
can't do it. I
uh,
can't.
how has it been trying to grow a Discord as well? Because it almost does feel like its own individual thing, but it feels like
Yeah.
it's yours as well as your Twitch channel. But it's almost like it is your a social media, so it's like I can do kind of what I want
Hmm.
with the channels you can set up within it, and there's people who
Yeah.
do community nights or watch a movie on it or anything like that. Where have you found has Discord helped you with anything, Twitch
Um.
and improv or whatever?
Yeah. I feel like in some ways Discord is an area that I feel like I need to improve on a little bit in terms of like I don't think my Discord is like dead or anything like that or like
That's how
too
I feel about
quiet, but I
mine.
feel like yeah, it's like I feel like it could be more than what it is. And in some ways it's like I feel like um in it's been really nice because I feel like I haven't had to focus on growing the Discord because just as my Twitch channel has grown or whatever, it's sort of grown naturally along with it.
Hmm.
But I feel like because of that, I haven't been paying as much attention to it as I could be. I try to keep it all like organized and stuff like that, but like I feel like I could do more like community nights or things
Yeah.
of that nature. But it's like I was saying, it's just so nice to have a space where you can talk to your people and put your going live notifications, and you don't have to worry about like, am I bombarding people too much with my content
Yep.
here? Because that's what the space is for in a way. And it's just as much for the community too. It's a great space to be to like, if somebody is talking to you in chat that day about like some food they had, or like I just bought this cool new, like somebody today in my chat was like, hey, I just bought this cool new plant and I'm really excited about it. And they got to go post a picture of it in the Discord so I can go and see that there. So it just adds this really nice extra layer of interaction with your community that doesn't like dominate your Twitter feed or
Exactly.
because then
Yeah.
if you're interacting on Twitter, it's either a private message where only you two can see it, or it's public where that's now your entire feed. So it's
It's
nice.
almost
It's
like
almost like a forum, a
yeah.
little bit like a chat forum.
I feel like I don't try and do too much on Twitter too, because like I am still trying to brand, right? And it's like it is so
Mhm.
public that I don't want to be like, oh, here's the dude who's just bombarding stuff on there. Like if I was trying to
Yeah,
get a sponsor, because I would love to have a sponsor for the podcast, I would love
yeah,
for that to be a thing. So I don't want that to ever interfere with anything, So
yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird
100%.
medium, but I do feel like Discord is the spot where because in the first month or so, I just wasn't telling people, I guess, I just wasn't posting
Yeah,
it anywhere. And it's like, well, my growth isn't there because I'm just
yeah,
not doing it anywhere. And it's like,
yeah, yeah.
you need the shameless self promotion every now and then. You
Y-
just got to do
Yes.
it.
Yes, that I think has been one of the things that I've had to adjust the most to as a content creator is like because I hate like promoting myself. I'll promote the shit out of
Yeah,
anybody else, but
exactly.
like if it comes to me, I'm like I do this thing. You don't have to see it, like but like you have to like you have to sell and
Hmm.
market yourself and like even like the little things like on YouTube videos, the like hey guys, if you like this video, like and subscribe or whatever.
Yep.
It's like it's such a small thing, but it is necessary because people will watch the video, genuinely enjoy it, and just forget to click
Yep.
subscribe or forget to
Oh,
share
that's
or
me all the
whatever.
time.
Yeah, and like we were talking about earlier, like we just scroll through TikTok and just like see videos or whatever and don't necessarily interact. It's the same thing. Whereas like if you just say like, hey, if you like the video, go ahead and subscribe. Like that has actively reminded me to do that for somebody else. So it's like, oh, I guess I have to do these little things from time to time, and I hate it, but it is a necessary. I don't even want to say it's a necessary evil, but it is a part of this of any sort of world in which you have to market yourself. It's same with like stand up. Like if you know anybody who does stand up, 90% of the messages or stuff you're going to get about them are about shows they have coming up, and that's just how it is because they have to push that
That's
to
true.
just get it out there.
Yeah.
And it feels weird, but it's just like it comes with the territory.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to do it. It's
Hmm.
everything that I struggle with is all like internal mentally
Yeah,
for me,
yeah,
like and then it's those things where you just do it and then you're like, okay, well, it's done, it's out there, and it's
yes,
almost like the YouTube
100%.
video, when it's not perfect, like for whatever reason, I'm having like some delays in my videos every now and then. It's like a
Hmm.
2 to 4 second delay that YouTube will just do when I download it to them. Don't know why. but I'm the only person noticing this. It's not like
Yeah.
someone's commenting like, "What the fuck? Why is there a delay in this
Yes,
video?" You know,
yes.
I'm the only person noticing. So,
Yep. The amount of time I've spent changing or tweaking things that I'm the only person that's ever gonna see it is God, if I could have that time back.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
no,
man,
100%.
I struggle with that so
100%.
much. What's been
Mhm.
one of your biggest, or not necessarily failure, but what's something that just didn't turn out the way you thought it would, that has been a learning experience?
I think it's sort of going back to something I was talking about earlier, that like small game Saturday that I was talking about, where I would do like the small indie games on Saturdays. I think that both it did work and didn't work. It was one of those things that like without fail, basically every single week, almost, there was a few exceptions, but almost every Saturday, I would have the lowest viewership out of the whole week on that day. And it, like, on one hand, I was like, oh, maybe people don't care about these games, but people were constantly like, I love Small Game Saturday. I love these games that you're finding. I love this. But they just, it was a Saturday. So maybe people, they're not at work, so they can go do other things. They're not like tied to their computer that day. Because like one of the benefits of streaming during the day is you have sort of a captive audience. People can't go anywhere; they're stuck to their
Mm,
computer. So I think in one hand, it sort of taught me like there's so many factors that can affect your viewership that are just out of your control. You can have fantastic content, you can be playing games that people want to watch, but like it could just be the wrong day. It could be maybe it was a holiday weekend that week or whatever. Like
mm-hmm.
there's just so many factors um, that just can really alter the way that something's going to turn out. So like I sort of stopped. I now don't stream on Saturdays at all anymore, just partially so I can focus on like things like co-op comedy and have an extra day to do like video editing and stuff like that. But like it was just one of the things that like in my head it was going to be this thing that like grew and like everyone was looking forward to small game Saturday and blah blah blah, and it just didn't quite like work out that way. Like people did enjoy it and enjoyed a lot of the games that we found, and some of them have sort of lived on in a different way. But I think it also like it was educational, but I also have now sort of developed this like persona of like the indie game guy within like our community, which has been really nice. And I still continue to seek out indie games and try to find games. I just don't focus on playing them on one day. And I think the other thing that I learned from that was I was finding like a new game every single week, which in some ways was really cool because it was different and fun. But
Yeah,
also I felt like I was sort of forcing it at times where I was just
yeah,
playing
I
games
could
that I
see
was
that.
like,
Yeah.
I don't really like this game, but I was playing it because I wanted to continue the trend. So
Mm-hmm.
now I focus on playing the games that I'm really excited for, and instead of putting them all on Saturday, like if an indie game is coming out on this Tuesday, I'm going to play it on that Tuesday so I can play it day one and keep up with other people that are doing it. And because it's exciting, I'm not going to wait. And because of that, I've had some really cool experiences. There was this game that I found called Before Your Eyes. That was just hands down, it's been one of the most beautiful games I've ever played in my life. It was this little indie game. It took about 3 hours or so to play. Um, and I literally cried on stream because of this game. And I finished the game, and there were the game developers were in the chat,
That's
and they're like, "Hey, I
awesome.
just wanted to say this was really cool watching you play through this." And I was just blown away. I was like, "What?" And I was just crying. I was like, "You guys are here!" So it was really cool. But and I wouldn't have had that had I not been doing Small Game Saturday previously and found out how much I enjoy streaming indie games with my community and all that. So it was like in some ways it helped a lot, but in some ways it just didn't. It was never the thing that I thought it was going to be.
I could see
But I
that.
still learned a lot from it. So.
Yeah, I think as like a smaller streamer, you're always it's all once again the self battles of what's gonna be successful, what's not.
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
right now, I just don't stream on Mondays because like I said this before, I'm very hyper aware of what I got going on. Right, most of
Yeah.
my viewership has been from other people because I'm interviewing people. So they tell people, they bring people in, they're saying hey, then they pop back in, say hey a few more times. It's up to me
Yeah.
if I entertain them or not and want them to stay, you know. Um, so it's hard because on Mondays in particular, it seems like everybody's streaming. It just seems like everybody's on there. So if the days I would stream on Mondays, it's like, oh, I'm sitting at one viewer and that's me. So I don't
Yeah,
really
yeah.
know if Monday should be the day that I'm doing everything, you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
But I think once again that's just a small stream deal. Once you have the community that is there to support you because of you, you can just do that any day. I don't think
Yeah.
uh indie Saturday indie games is gone, you know. I think that's just,
Yeah, 100. Yeah.
you know, it's
It
just
just
something
is morphed
that's
into something else.
exactly, you know. Has there
Yeah.
been anything else that's kind of just come up like that naturally, that you've seen just become a reoccurring thing on your stream?
The Pokemon for sure. um, yeah. I mean, like in one way, sort of the game that I was playing earlier today, Phantom Abyss, has sort of become that because I just was like, I'm just kind of curious about this game, and now like everyone I talk to is like, "Are you still playing that game?" Like now people know that I'm like the Phantom Abyss guy.
That's so funny.
But no, I think that's definitely been like the biggest thing is like the indie games. I don't feel like there's anything else that's quite stuck around as much as that. And actually like because of that and I feel like I've developed sort of this persona for being like a more wholesome streamer, which has been really nice because I love to cultivate that a lot more. Because so many of the games that I would choose for those were like these really wholesome, like the game that started that tradition was this game called a small hike or short hike, a short hike. And it was just about this story of like this bird and like this bird woman who was like hiking through the woods, and it ends with this beautiful call with her mom. It was just like, "Hey, I just want to say I love you. I haven't seen you in a while." And it's just like this really like touching little moment. And so I found a lot of games that were in that similar vein, or like Before Your Eyes, which was the story of soul in the afterlife. And it had this really cool mechanic where the game was about this soul looking back on their life through memories, but it worked with a webcam. It would connect to a webcam, and every time you blinked in real life, the game time would jump forward. And so you were like
Oh
fast
wow,
forwarding through this life, and it was just this crazy, like really cool,
that's
heartfelt
interesting.
story. Yeah, it was so cool. So like I found so many games that sort of fit into that structure. And so because of that, I've my channel has been able to develop this sort of uh, uh, reputation for being like a wholesome place, which I've really enjoyed because I really want to cultivate that sort of vibe. Um, because I think that like not that there's no other wholesome streamers in the world. It's certainly not the case, but I think that is one thing that has helped set me apart from some other streamers is that like I feel like within the gaming world there's such a mindset or a stereotype of like, oh, you're a gamer, a hardcore gamer, shooter, like whatever. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's fun to be competitive. I love shooter games. I almost never play them on stream, so people think I don't like like first person shooters, but they're a blast. But like I think I really enjoy connecting with people sort of through this other vein of like finding these wholesome games and these really chill games that sort of go against the grain of that stereotype of sort of gamer dudes and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, so I think that the indie thing has helped me in that way too, which I didn't necessarily think about or plan when I started streaming. I wasn't like, I'm going to be the wholesome streamer. It just sort of came about because of that and some of the games that I've chosen. So,
No, I think that's super interesting. Like, I don't know. I
yeah.
love hearing these stories about everyone's been different. Every single person has been different. You would think
Mhm.
every streamer's journey is the same and they deal with the same things, but they're not, and people think differently. And there's
Yeah. Yeah.
similarities between everybody, but the journeys are always different. So I think that's super interesting to see how, like, this person's stream kind of formatted into what it became, like, and
Yeah.
it's still
Yeah.
growing,
Yeah.
one
And
thing.
and that's one of the things that I love about Twitch is like there are so many people doing so many different things and they all have
Exactly.
this
Yep.
different experience and this different personality and there's room for all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I am trying to focus on this wholesome thing, but that doesn't mean that channels that are to like all about Call of Duty Warzone or like whatever is just as valid and there's an audience for that and there's an audience for both and I love that
And they
there's
could be the same audience at
community.
times too, which is
100
like,
yeah,
I
100%.
think people lose that, like,
Mhm.
all right, I'm gonna be the Call of Duty person. I only gotta promote to Call of Duty stuff, and it's like, no, I'll watch Call of Duty videos, but I'll also watch some just random stuff that's,
Yeah.
nothing to
Yeah,
do, like,
exactly.
Zoo Tycoon or like
Zoo Tycoon, yes.
Sims 4.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
why I randomly come across those videos, but I think it's just super funny to just watch people
There's
play them.
some really good Sims videos out
Yeah.
there. Yeah, 100%. There's a streamer couple that I really enjoy. Not Your Parents GNS. They're fantastic. They're a couple streamer. They're a husband and wife duo, and they
That's
just have
so
this
cool.
super cool setup. But they usually play like Dead by Daylight and like these really intense, like action heavy zombie games and shooter games. And then just every now and then they'll do like a cooking stream together,
That's
and
so
it's just like
cool.
this totally different style of content. And it's like the audience is there for both. Like they're
Yeah.
they're there for them. So whatever they're playing, they show up for it
I like
and
the
they enjoy both.
I like the co-op streams. The only one that I've actually like watched occasionally is they're called Co-op with my co-op, which I think is just such an interesting name in general. But I think it
Love it.
boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, something like one of the two. Um,
Mm,
but they're just so funny together, and they're just like laugh at everything that they're
yeah.
doing, and I think that's so wholesome. Is would y'all ever do a stream? Would y'all ever? Because I know you're mainly doing the YouTube videos. Would could co-op comedy ever become a Twitch thing?
I think I don't think we would do it on Twitch because we've done some like outside of co-op comedy we've done some co-streams where
Mm-hmm.
like the a way out like I mentioned
Yeah.
previous, but we've also like we had co-streamed this really chaotic game called Ranch Simulator, which was really just supposed to be a really serious farming game, and we took it and made it something completely different. But I think we're really trying to push co-op being completely on YouTube,
Okay.
just so it's sort of like because it is both connected to us, but we also want it to be able to live independently on its own. So like we try to be careful about like for instance, everyone on Twitch calls me Robo
Mm-hmm.
because of RoboDessert, but like on co-op, Robert usually refers to me as Chris, just so it's like its own entity that is it is connected, but it can do
I
its
get
own
what you're
thing.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've talked about doing co-op comedy live streams on YouTube, so that way it can continue to
That
live
would make
and
more
be over
sense. Yeah.
there. But yeah, I think anything that we do together under that brand is probably going to remain on YouTube. And then you know we've played games together on each other's channel on Twitch, but not as co-op.
Yeah. A lot of these questions I ask because I'm also trying to learn and gain knowledge as well because I
Me
have
too.
I have aspirations to do things, and I always want to hear other people's opinions. Because me and my buddy,
Yeah.
we had the podcast thing, and this is a me thing, a dash of soul. I like doing this. It's more interview style. That's what I wanted to do was
Hmm.
more of an interview
Hmm.
style podcast, where what we did was just more talking to each other, and then it felt weird to try and bring that to Twitch now, uh, on either channel. To try and
Yeah.
and we've had the conversation. Oh, we'll stream it on the grower, and we'll just make another channel and do all that. And I just don't.
Hmm.
It just never felt right. So I think
Yeah.
we both agree that it should probably just be a YouTube thing if we stream, and not that we can't stream it on Twitch as well. But like, it's
Right.
not going to
Yeah.
ever be a focus of ours. Is to try and grow a Twitch viewership of that same thing that we're also trying to put on
Exactly.
YouTube
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Spotify and Apple Podcasts and and all these things. So it just becomes super
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
overwhelming.
Yeah, it feels very overwhelming already because like I'm trying to grow my Twitter and my Twitch and my TikTok and my YouTube, and now we're also trying to grow a co-op
Yeah.
YouTube and co-op TikTok and a
Yep.
co-op Twitter, and he's trying to grow his own thing.
Yep.
So if we added like another Twitch channel
Yep.
to that, I would just be like, I can't tell
I
people to
get
go
it.
follow this
Okay.
Twitch. It feels like too much. And like you said, like you're already trying to grow this on YouTube. Like now it's not like splitting, but it's like now you just focused on this and
Yeah.
then
And it's
let
just
the
something else you would have to try and schedule and be like, I
hmm
don't know.
hmm
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks it's not a good idea to just not
yeah.
stream it
And I
on
mean, maybe there's
Twitch.
something I'm missing. Maybe there is a good reason for it, but we've been focusing just on YouTube at
I
least
like
for
that.
now. So
I like that. And it's someone would ask with that. It seems like there's y'all go into co-op videos very not planned per se, as in like what are y'all gonna say, but planned is like this is what's gonna happen here. I'll say for the Man of Medan videos, for example, it seemed I'm sorry because I know that game got lost too. I watched that video.
that's
You
fine.
lost all your. That almost happened to me as well. Just so you know, like
Yeah.
it almost did the same thing to me. But do you have an idea, or do you just record for a certain amount of time and then like whatever happened that we'll be able to make something out of it?
Yeah, we started with we sort of stole from Game Grumps in that like we would record and we would set like a 20-minute timer or whatever, or have a stopwatch going rather, and just sort of keep an eye on that. So that way right around that 20-minute mark we could be like, all right, well, that's co-op comedy. Catch you next time, and cut it there. And because both of us had made very like heavily edited videos for our own YouTube and taking our Twitch clips and really chopping them up
Yeah.
and making something else out of them. And so for co-op, we wanted to focus on making it not edited and just sort of like let's just let this stand on its own. We'll be
No,
funny
I
and
really
just let
like
it
it.
go. But we found that with a lot of games that didn't work because, like with RPGs or like puzzle games, you get so into the details of the
Okay.
game that you lose track of like making jokes about it. You're like, God, do I need more intellect or do I need more stamina here? I don't know. And that's like, you get so lost in that. So we've started to move towards a system of not having a timer and just filming until there's like a natural stopping point, and then editing that video down and cutting out some of the dead space or
Okay.
like one thing that we've really tried to start doing is like if there's an element of the game that focuses heavily on like inventory management or like stats or something like that, or like really solving a puzzle or something, like cutting out that bit so the audience doesn't have to sit through us digging through our inventory
Mm-hmm.
for 20 minutes and then we can get right back to the game. So we're not trying to do as many like really heavy edits, but just like chopping out the dead air
Yeah.
rather than like zoom in on this and then throw in this gag. Like we throw in a few gags here and there, but we're sort of trying to change up our style a little bit. So we have co-op comedy 2.0 now.
I saw that. I
Edit.
saw the trailer for that. That's super
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So, but now we don't worry about the time as much because it just
Okay.
doesn't matter. We can just cut it to wherever we need it to be. So.
Yeah, I tried editing down a Man of Medan video, and I was stuck in between like where are the funny moments, and if there's not funny moments, do I just put in story,
Mm-hmm.
line
Mm-hmm.
stuff to at least like, because I don't know, I'm experimenting a few different things because I have the long podcasts, and then when it comes to YouTube, should I do like 15 to 30-minute videos, or should I do
Mm-hmm.
several like shorter than 10-minute videos? So I'm gonna try
Yeah.
both and see what actually works.
Yeah.
Um, but it feels like they're super edited in that sense because you're missing so much. It's a story. It's literally a story-based game where you just choose something
Yeah.
every now and then. So I feel
Yeah.
like when I
100%.
edit something out, I lose a lot, right? But if I only leave in all the jokes, you're not seeing
Right.
what you need to
Right.
see. So I
Yeah.
definitely think it's a weird battle. And do y'all choose games based on that sometimes?
Uh, really, right now, I think the things that help us choose the games are like what do we think are cool looking co-op games? Like we've been playing through We Were Here Together, which is like a strictly co-op game. It's a puzzle game. You guys are on totally different parts of the map.
Oh,
You're
okay,
seeing
yeah,
different
yeah,
things, and you
yeah.
have to yeah. Um, but sometimes we try to like find stuff that's like new and exciting. Like a co-op game just came out at the start of June that was Operation Tango. It was like the spy game.
Oh.
Uh and it just looked really cool and it had just come out, so we were like, all right, this other video that we're going to release, push that back, let's record this and try to get that out there. So like that's how we try to choose the games, um but now that we're editing stuff out, I feel like that actually gives us a little bit more wiggle room because at the start we were like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do like RPGs because we had tried an RPG for the King, and some folks had said that it was sort of their least interested. They were least interested in that compared to the other series, and it was because it was an RPG. There was a lot of like, what do we do? What do we do here?
You're
How
like,
do we get to this?
and you're almost
Uh,
interested, so you like stop talking during a cutscene to like hear
yes,
what they're saying,
100%.
and it's like,
Yeah. So at first we were like, all right, well, we just won't do RPGs or we'll just avoid those games. But now that we're editing, we actually just played through another RPG that is like, it was described as Skyrim, but real. And it's a very intense game, but we were having a blast with it. And now that we can just edit out the dead air or any parts where we're trying to figure out some game aspect, it just flows way better in the edit or in the final video.
mm-hmm.
And one thing that I have found, like to your point about like, do I leave in the story or like, do I leave in this? It's really tricky with comedy because you one of the things that you could have hoped for with YouTube is that somebody will just be searching for the game and they'll find your video and just like the comedy enough to find it. But if they are really looking for gameplay for that game, if it's heavily edited, you might miss that,
Yeah,
right?
true.
So it's really tricky to find that. I think one thing that I try to focus on when I edit the video is like I don't worry so much about including the actual story of the game. I try to get the overarching gist of it, but like focus on moment to moment. Can the viewer tell, like, is the viewer getting breadcrumbs throughout the video, so to speak? Like, is there enough of a story for the video that you're making to hold up? So it's not just like you cut from this one story moment to this story moment, and people are like, wait, but who is this person? So long as you get
Mm-hmm.
the introduction of that person in there or have some comment about that, if the video flows, I find that works in my experience works best, so you don't have to worry about like, well, I have to include this story but it's really boring at this part. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, chop that bit out, and so long as the audience knows what's going on in the story,
Okay.
you're fine.
I think I'm trying to do the same thing, especially with this Man of Medan video I was trying to put out. It's just so difficult to. You guys are playing it, so you understand a little bit of like how the game is played out. You know, it's
Yeah,
very.
yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, it's super. It's a fun game. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
But it. I feel like because I'm doing it shorter, in this like smaller than 10-minute segments, you know, I did feel like that. Where like if I just did all the jokes, the story, I rewatched it and I was like, oh, I don't really know what's happening here. So if I was looking for a Man of Medan video, I would not be watching this video,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
If I'm a viewer, that's funny or whatever, but as someone that's trying to put it out there, like, I just didn't see it. And then my second video, because I put it in a bunch of parts, I think I could just throw that out. I don't even need it. Like, you know, like I posted this because it's whatever, but like, I think it was a big learning curve.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself still learning that? It sounds like you do. And is there anything that you're like, I definitely need to stick with this because this works?
Yeah, I think it just feels like everything in content creation feels like an eternal learning process, right?
Yeah.
And especially because like, with co-op we're adapting over time now, and I think we're going to continue adapt, and so whatever I'm doing with editing now might not be what we're doing in a month or two.
True.
But I think like I said, I try to focus on making sure that the cuts are smooth, so that like if you just
So
completely
hard.
cut out one bit, yeah, it's really hard. I found music helps with that a lot if there's music in the game. Like
Really?
if you go from a clip that has music in it, try not to go to a clip that has no music in it, because it's that much more
Okay, that
jarring
makes
for the
sense.
viewer. And that's something that I learned like literally editing a video yesterday, which like maybe I was conscious of that before, but or maybe I knew that before, but I wasn't conscious of it until I was editing a video yesterday and was like, oh, this flows way better if I just cut to another bit with some music in it. Even if that part isn't necessarily as funny, if that bit with music flows into non-music, and then you can cut to a quiet part again.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So just making sure that, like, it's sort of a natural transition, I guess. So I think that's some stuff that I try to focus on, and then like joke to joke, and also I think one thing that I'm trying to figure out the right formula for is like, especially with like co-op, the stuff that we do, we make each other laugh all the time.
Yeah.
And so like part of me feels like, no, cut out our laughing at it so that the joke stands on its own.
Mm.
But then I'm like, oh, but actually, if I leave the laughing in, not only does it give that joke time to breathe for a second, it's sort of like a built-in laugh track too.
Oh
So
yeah.
it can
Everyone
keep
wants to
people
laugh
laughing
with
with you.
somebody, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. And then they feel like they're in on the joke with us. So I think that's something that I've been adjusting to over time too, is like figuring out exactly how much time to give certain clips to breathe and settle before you move on to the next joke or next clip or
Okay.
whatever you have.
I like that. Well, let me go through a few. I see where I didn't yet know we're already at 2 hours. I'm sorry for keeping you so long, but
No, this I love this. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you once again.
no, thank you for joining. Just so everyone in chat knows, this coming up soon, we'll be introducing or allowing chat to ask the questions. This is where we read through yours and answer some questions, and you know, not the biggest thing. Oh, you took big notes. Okay.
Big notes.
But soon we'll be opening the questions to you. So if you want to start leaving questions, you can. We'll read back through them, and I'll get to them then. And if you guys left any questions during it, I'll try and read them all. But I have very bad reading on this new chat screen I have going on, so I'm sorry. I'll have to try and make that bigger. These edits I do, I feel like they're good in the moment I'm doing it, and then later on when I put it into action, I'm like, oh, this didn't help me at all.
Yeah. Yes, 100%. I think something that I find is really helpful, and I still don't do it enough, and I need to do it more, is like you spend a lot of time in it, because editing just takes so much time. It doesn't matter what you're editing, it just takes time. It's like spend some time editing it and then just put it down and walk away from it for like a few
fresh
hours, or like
eyes.
come back to exactly, because you get so caught up in it, and then you're
That's
just
so
like, well,
true.
this isn't good and this is good. Whereas if you come back a while later, and especially like once you finish editing something, like watch through the whole video one more time just as is, so you can get a whole feel of like how it flows start to finish. But yeah, it's tricky. It's editing. I would not say at all I'm an expert on. It's
Oh
it's
man,
an internal learning curve.
I just want to pay someone to do it for me. But then it's like I gotta tell them because that was the other thing about paying for an edit. It's like I had to be very, 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 very specific. And even then it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't quite what I thought. And at the same time, it's not like I was paying this dude a bunch of money. It was a very
Yeah, yeah,
simple
yeah.
edit, but it's hard to get that idea. Once again, the Mona Lisa in my brain, stick figures on paper, so it
Yes.
becomes
Yeah.
difficult. um but I always wondered this too. Who have been some other streamers besides Robert? Because I can definitely tell y'all bounce each other off a bunch. Who have been
Oh
some
yeah.
other streamers that have helped you along the way? If it isn't even just talking to them, just their content in general.
Oh man, so many people. I mean, because there's like quote unquote big, partner streamers that I take inspiration from, but like people that I've sort of like grown up with, I guess, so to speak, within the world of Twitch. Scooter Cannon is one who used to be Cracker T23. Like that guy he's so funny. He has such great like him and Robert I think are similar in this way. They both are really good at creating humor and jokes within the medium of Twitch, using green screen goofs
Yeah.
and making like using gifs at the right time, things like that. I think he's really good at that. And like Scooter just like wears his heart on his sleeve 100% of the time. Like he's such a genuine, cool, nice person, and he's just a blast. And I've taken a lot of inspiration from him. Reaper's Past, who I think Robert had mentioned previously, is just again like just a super genuine guy, and he's just super kind and unbelievably supportive of like everybody. Um, and I think I have to shout out my mod Kate Rose, who
Awesome.
like she streams occasionally. She used to stream more when we first met on Twitch. She was streaming regularly. But like she's the reason I know so many people on Twitch. Like she introduced me to Robert, Joe Medforce, who she also mods for, who I would also have to add to this list. Like I could go on, and there's a billion people that have been an inspiration, have helped my channel in one way or another, whether it's asking them questions about something, talking about I have to shout out my girlfriend, who I need to pay a full salary to, because the number of times I swear to God, like she will come into this what is now an office space. It used to be our bedroom, but we were able to move things around. Um and she would just be like, "Hey, are you going to the store tomorrow?" Whatever. She would just ask me some question. I'd be like, "Yeah, yeah. Hey, can you look at this video real quick?" And then like 3 hours later, we would still be talking about like I would just drag her into so many conversations. And there's probably like another 16,000 people that I'm forgetting that I'm going to feel really bad about not
Not
saying their
saying
name
their
on here.
name
But
doesn't mean you don't appreciate
right,
them.
yeah, yeah, no. But I mean, it really is a community of people that have come together to help
Like I was
in
saying
some
earlier,
way.
like Twitch doesn't do a good job at promoting the people on the bottom, but I definitely think the people at the
Hmm.
bottom do a great job of promoting each other. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
it's you got to have the shameless self promotion every now and then, but it's also cool to just see other people and what they're doing, and even just like you guys just seeing the co-op comedy, it gave me so much inspiration to be like, okay, well this is a thing and you can do it, and um, it's not as hard as I thought it would be. It's just you got to actually do it, and that's
Yeah,
probably the hardest part.
it is. Yeah, just doing it is like 50% of the battle, I swear. Like it always feels like a bit of a cop out, but I feel like whenever people are like, "What's like one piece of advice you'd give to somebody who's just starting streaming?"
That
It's just
was going
like
to be a
just
question.
go do it. There it is. Just go do it. Just do it. Like I always hate giving that answer because it does feel like a cop out, but
Mm-hmm.
it's so especially with Twitch, because I don't know if you feel this way, but when I was watching Twitch, I was like, "Oh, you're just kind of hanging out, like playing a game or doing whatever and talking with chat." And like it is that at its core, but like it feels so different doing it than when you're watching it or what you think it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you haven't streamed at all and you're wondering if should I stream, should I be a streamer, is it possible, should I get this emote, should I do that, like just go try it, just go stream, get like the cheapest webcam you can, get on it and just do a stream, see if you like how it feels at all, see if you even enjoy it. Because I think for most people it will feel different than what it looks like on the outside. Even if you are regularly on Twitch as a viewer, I think it'll still feel different once you're actually doing it yourself. And so just do it, just try it out, just do it. You will learn more from doing the thing than from like any video you could watch on YouTube or whatever.
I agree a lot with that. Like I think from the outside looking in, you see someone streaming or you see someone making YouTube videos, and you're like, oh, I want to do this. I want to try this. This looks like a lot of fun. And then you start doing it, and you're like, this is a lot of fucking work. I didn't know
It
it
is.
was gonna
Yeah.
take all
Yeah.
this work, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So like that kind of clouds you, because then you're like, well, is this even worth it? And for some people, it's not. It wasn't worth
Yeah.
the extra work going into it, and that's fine. It's not meant for
Totally
everybody.
fine. Yeah. 100%.
I try and tell myself I'm just gonna give everything a year. Like if after a year I'm
Smart.
not like, I really started in March. So next March, if I'm not seeing the growth I wanted, then maybe I will just focus more on YouTube or focus more on podcasting in general. Because
Yeah.
I know at the end of the day, that's really what I want to do, is podcasting and interviewing, stuff like that. So maybe if the numbers aren't there, that's what I'd have to do. But I don't want to settle. So like I just want to give everything I can, and we'll see what comes out of it.
100%. See where it goes. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
So before we get into the question, because I see Echo has a bunch, um, what's your next streaming goal you have? And not after that streaming goal, what's your next goal for content creation in general?
Figure out what I'm doing. No, it's that's a really good question. I think probably the next goal is to reach a point where I can start really like either like joining some sort of stream team or like larger, more I hate to say like join a stream team or join a connected community because I already feel like I'm part of a stream team that isn't actually a stream
Unofficial,
team.
yeah.
Yeah, it feels like I'm already part of an unofficial stream team, but I think that is in some ways in terms of like a business possibly a next step. Um, just because I think that I think to an extent stream teams are not necessary, but I think if they're done right and if it's like the right community for you, they can really help you reach a larger audience
Agreed.
in a different way. So something like that, and maybe start seeking out some sort of sponsorships in some way, even if they're small, just to because I think overall this is an ongoing goal for most of us in this field is to reach a point where I can do this without having to be on unemployment or have to have three other jobs or whatever. And I think I'm slowly approaching that point, but it's still like I need some other things to fall into place for that. So to just continue to work towards that goal for sure. And really I really want to put like everything I have into co-op right now. I'm just having so much fun working on that, and I'm really proud of what we've been able to do. And I think we still have a lot to learn and figure out, but I think we're on a very good track right now. It feels very right, which is not something that I have been able to say about a lot of aspects of my life in terms of like not even like that sounds really dark and mysterious, but like just
No,
I've been
when
in so many jobs or whatever that I've just felt like this isn't for me, and
yeah,
this is just one of those
when
things
there's
that feels
potential in
right.
something and you feel that potential, you just really want to give it your all. It's with anything
Yeah.
in life, when you feel it, you just want to do it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And as long as you're not sacrificing
Hmm.
the healthy parts of your life,
Right. Yeah.
then go for it.
Yeah. So that's kind of the main focuses right now. It's just like, and I think I mentioned this earlier, and I think this is an ongoing goal, but it is like a focused goal or like a goal that I am really trying to focus on is just continue, um, focus on. This is something that I've had to sort of relearn because I think, especially with Twitch that pushes analytics so much, is like focus less on getting to 1,000 followers or focus less on getting to X amount of subscriptions or whatever, and just continue to focus on making my content better for me and for my viewers, so that way it'll sort of lift itself up. I
Yeah.
guess I just want to continue to focus on making my content better, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's for co-op, whether it's my streams, whatever it is. Just keep just 100% focus on making it better all the time.
You always want to grow and have people watch your stuff and be happy with it, but I think the most important thing is that you're happy with it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I agree. Like I've come to the realization that um I'm gonna be a slow burn of growth, right? Like whether
Mhm.
that's I got botted, so I guess you can gain some
Hey.
100 followers or whatever real quick,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But I just I've come to realize, let me put out good interviews. Let me try and do, and I still struggle with that at times. I get nervous at times during interviews, and I
Mhm.
forget what I was going to say or whatever it may be. So I need to get better at certain aspects of that. And then the streaming parts afterwards, hopefully people just want to join in on,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't think streaming, I said this last one, I don't think streaming is going to be what makes me big. Or if I ever was to get big, I don't think that's what's going to do it. I think it'd be the YouTube or the podcast or whatever it is. I think that would
Yeah.
be the thing to focus on, you know. So to have goals and to try and reach them, I think that's not a bad idea. And I do want to ask, because you brought up the stream team, is there something in particular you're looking for in a stream team to want to join them?
Yeah, I think something that I have found is really important to me after looking at a few groups and especially like groups on Twitter that I don't even know if they would classify themselves as stream teams that are like content creator groups
Mm-hmm.
is like I really want to find somebody that is focused on something that like I hate to use this word because it sounds so corporate, but like they have a mission statement, so to speak. Because like one there's I'm gonna really hate that I can't remember their name right now, but I found a streamer who's really nice. Their name is Doc Brook, and they are part of a stream team that like if you go to like their Twitter or their Twitch page for the stream team, they're like, we are focused on this. This is what we're here to do. We're here to bring people together for this goal. Like they're very focused on what they want to do as a community. And so everyone that comes in is like, it's like, are you here for this goal or are you here for this? And it sort of helps. It helps them have a direction, and it'll help you have a direction while you're with them.
No, I like that.
And so because I've seen some groups that it's just like we're just a group of content creators. It's like cool, but like for what? Like that is there not to say that there's not value to that on its own, but like I want like if I'm going to join a team or something, I want it to be so that I can join a part like be a part of something bigger that's like bigger than all of us, I guess, which sounds really cheesy, but it's like I want it to be for a reason.
No,
Are we coming
I
together to do
agree,
this
man.
or whatever? So I think that's definitely a focus myself. And I think like for myself, I want to just focus on zeroing in the focus of my content so that way I have something to provide to a stream
Yeah.
team in a way. Because as much as I have been able to start zeroing in on certain things, I still feel very uh um just going with the flow in many ways still, which is fine and it's great, but like I want to be able to know exactly what I can offer them, I guess,
Yeah.
and really dial that up for myself.
Yeah, I think it's always super interesting. Everyone's going to bring something a little bit different to every stream team.
Hmm.
And you see people join stream teams, and the people you admire and your fellow peers or whatever, you see they'll be on stream teams, so you're like, "Oh, this is what I got to do." Uh and I'm glad I didn't just actively, or I shouldn't say actively, reactively just try and join one, you know,
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
just because I thought I needed to. And not that you can't leave them when you won or whatever, but I
Right.
know some of them put you in contracts, which is interesting.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You
It
know,
feels a bit like a very mild mannered pyramid scheme sometimes. You're just like,
sometimes,
yeah,
yeah.
we're here to come together. And it's like, are we here to come together for us? Or are we here to come together for you?
Yeah.
Because those are different
No,
things. But
100%. No, I think I wish that that's something I do wish Twitch would work on, because it sucks that you have to have that partnered person to be able to make it, because then
yeah.
it's like this one person is God right now, controlling what this community is
Hmm.
about.
Hmm.
And I wish it could be more of like, hey, these group of people want to do something. How about we do something like, I don't know. I think that would be cooler than
Yeah.
just one person
Right.
making it.
Yeah, and like to be clear, I don't need like a stream team that is like we're gonna fight for uh uh carbon emission like I don't need like a specific goal like that, but like have a group focus and be
Yeah.
clear about what that is. What are you making content for?
Mm-hmm.
What is your collective
Yeah.
push? I guess I don't know. It's
No,
just like
that's
just have a group
Yeah,
focus.
that's great. I right now I want to join a team that's not everywhere. I'm in that sense of have a focus where like,
Hmm.
and there's nothing wrong with this. And I want to always preface by like, I'm not dissing any team. I'm not knocking
Yeah.
any team. This is
Yeah.
just what I preferably would want. I don't want to join a team that's esporty and content creationy, and I want to just
Right. Right.
content creation. I'm not really into esports like that, and I can't really fake it either.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm not going to try. You know what I mean? But what I do want to bring to a stream team is interviewing. Like, that's what I want to do for a stream team.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That's what I want. Until I can find that in a stream team, I don't really want to join a stream team, you know? So once I've had that mindset, I think it's easier for me to just relax about things and move forward without feeling that pressure, and just get along with other stream teams now, because there's some awesome teams out there.
There are, yeah, hell yeah.
And I think it can be intimidating because it's like, oh, I want to join, so I don't want to like say something weird or whatever, you know. You try and give off a good impression, and then once that thought's gone, it's like, okay, I can just be myself like normal.
Yeah, and it also feels like, you know, sort of like you were saying, you know, I want to know what I can offer to them, because like there's a quote that Jerry Seinfeld had in this interview that I read with him, that he was talking about like the world of comedy and acting and everything, but I feel it applies to many things, including Twitch. Is like, it's very easy to get a big break, but it's hard to be ready for it when it happens. And I think it's what I took from that is, it's like it's people think of like, oh, you just need your big break and then you're good. And it's like, I don't think that's really how it works. I think it's actually much easier to find the moment that can give you that break. But if you haven't done the work and aren't ready for that yourself and don't know what you want and what you can offer, then that's going to pass you right by, and it's going to be that much harder to find your next one, especially within like within acting or within content creation, because people will talk, and maybe this stream team doesn't know this stream team, but if you go and apply for this one, maybe somebody from that community used to be in this one, and like, oh, that guy joined and he was kind of scatterbrained, maybe we don't, and you know, it's nothing, maybe you're great now, but because of this, because you sort of jumped the gun, so to speak, earlier, it might affect you in the future. I don't know.
No, I totally agree. Yeah, it's just one of those difficult things to make a decision on early on, before you kind of have a foundation of what you are yourself, you know. And I feel like the foundation's there, and I'm just trying to build my temple. So we'll see how it all goes.
I'd say it's going well. I was so honored to be. I would be lying if I said that I was familiar with your content for a long time or anything. But because I just found you like a couple weeks ago when you
feel like I'm
Robert.
very new.
But like you have such a great way of conversing with people. It feels so natural. The conversation just flows very well, and I think you're doing a great job with it.
Well,
so
thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm excited to see where it goes.
It doesn't always feel like that to me, so I'd like try and make sure. I've said this before. I'm asking the same questions, but I feel like I'm presenting them in different ways. You know, no, it hasn't been cookie cutter from one episode to the next episode. So I feel like I will pat myself on the back for that, at least, you know. And mainly because I managed places for 10 years now. I've always been the one doing interviews and hiring and stuff like that. So I feel like I kind of know an idea of how to do things.
Yeah, I hate interviewing. I had to do interviewing for my last job because I ran a department, so I was in charge of hiring. I hated it. I hated it. Yeah, people would come in so nervous, and I was like, I'm more nervous than you are. Let me tell you.
No, I'd rather people be relaxed and stuff like that, because I feel like nervous people make me nervous, and now we're both nervous, you know. So now I don't like it.
This isn't productive for anybody. Yeah, 100%.
So before I start reading some of the questions that chat left, I do always have one final question. If you were the host of A Dash Assault and you were in my shoes, what is a question or questions you would ask some people?
You know, I knew that you asked Robert this, and I was like, I got to think of something interesting for this. And the only thing that I could come up with is something I don't think I would actually ask people, but it's something that I've thought of, like, that I think is important for content creation. And I think it's something that I want to know about other people, but it feels very scary to ask people and sort of pointed in a way, which is, what sets your content apart from other people? Because I think that's such an important aspect of content creation, because there's like 6 million people streaming Call of Duty or whatever it is. So like, why would people watch you? But it also feels so pointed and aggressive to ask people like, what makes you special, kid?
Exactly.
Like, that's not how I mean it. I think it's sort of something that can be worthwhile to spend some time thinking about.
No, for sure.
But I don't know that I would actually ask people.
Yeah,
it's
a very
it's a real scary question.
It
really is.
I never try and be like, hey, now I need you to tell me the super.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I actually want to have this type of podcast. I would like a more almost emotionally open, honest podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where people, I kind of want it to be a round table too, where like multiple people and you can really get deep. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it's it's hard to ask those type of questions because then
Yeah, I
you
don't
know.
recommend that question, but that's
But
something that I think about with other people because like there's some content creators that I see that it's like because I also think it's different like for viewers like if I was to ask my viewers why do you watch me or what made you stick around what do you think sets my content I think they might have a different answer than what I give too, right?
oh, for sure.
So I think I just think it's all interesting so
Hmm.
I'm just like yeah let's think about that but it's a very
I
aggressive
think the
deep
cop out
question.
answer for both is personality, right? Like you can
Yeah,
just
yeah.
cop out and say personality. Oh, this is what makes my stream different is this. But there, with all
Mm,
billions of people in the world, there's going to be someone just like you know,
yeah,
or
yeah.
similar, very, very similar, you know. And then that goes for the viewer as well. Like, why do you like this person? Oh, the personality. And that could be
Mhm,
true,
mhm.
more so from the perspective of the actual streamer, you know. But if you were to ask me that, and if I were to give a real answer, my real answer would be nothing. You know, nothing right now sets me apart. I don't
Right.
think.
But I think that would be true for a lot of people, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing,
No.
especially at the start, because you're still figuring it out, right? And because I know I'm still figuring it out, and I've been doing this
Hmm.
for a little over a year now. And but I think it's important to recognize that too, because at least from the outside, it feels like there's a lot of people that are like, "This is it, this is the thing," and it's like, but is it?
Hmm.
Like, so I think it's important to be aware of that at least. And I think even if your answer is nothing right now, the fact that you're thinking about it or
Yeah.
can be honest with that, I think is huge. I think
I,
it's so important.
I say this all the time. I'm trying to be hyper realistic. Just be as realistic as possible about everything
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
talking to people too, you know, being able to talk to Robert, me being able to talk to my buddy Brad, it keeps those the humbling thoughts there too, because you can have some streams that are awesome and then like, oh, I made it, you know, and then
Yeah, yeah.
it's like the next stream did bad and you're like, oh shit, you know, what
Yeah,
happened.
it
So
feels like garbage.
yeah, it does. So to
Yeah.
have someone there to put things in perspective, because you can get so lost in your own thoughts about things, uh super helps. And I don't know, to be realistic about things helps as well. So uh talking to someone makes things
Definitely.
more realistic to me, you know. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's something that everybody needs to do.
Yeah. No, I would agree.
All right, so let me thank some people for being here, and then let you get back to your day, because I feel like anytime it goes over 2 hours, I feel like, oh no, what have I done?
No, I'm having a blast. Thank
Okay,
you so much
awesome.
again for having me.
Well, thank you everyone for hopping in. Echo, I'll immediately read some of yours, and then I'll go back through while you answer some of the other ones.
Yeah,
But she even numbered them out, so we'll go through
she
this.
did. Very organized.
Did you plan your outfits?
I don't think I plan my outfits, but I try to be conscious of them because especially like I've recently bought a lot of new shirts all at one time. So I was like, I gotta be sure that I'm not wearing those back to back. Or like, especially now that we've been doing co-op with Robert,
Oh, that's
I'm
funny.
like,
Yeah.
which shirt did I wear the last time we recorded this game? Because I want to make sure it's
Yep.
either different or the same,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Um,
I somewhat
but
do. I somewhat do. For the same reason.
yeah,
I would just go to my VOD and I'd be like, oh, what shirt have I not worn in the most recent
yeah,
things of everything?
exactly.
And that's
Yeah,
usually what I'll go with. And then
yeah.
for Echo, I planned out today because I was in his stream earlier and I saw he was wearing a nice flamingo shirt. And I was like, I got a
Oh,
flamingo shirt. Let me go get mine.
Flaming Bros.
Flamingos.
Damn.
Two, Brad wanted to see the tight Pikachu outfit.
Who's Brad?
Brad Baker is my best friend.
Oh, Brad Baker.
Yes,
Oh, okay. There we
he
go.
is my best friend. He is the
Oh,
person that
hey.
keeps pushing me to do things when I do the podcast with.
Perfect. Hi. What's up, Brad? I saw you in chat. I didn't read your full name, so that's on me. That's 100%
He's
on
here.
me. The Pikachu outfit. I can put the Pikachu outfit on right now. We can do
No
this.
one's forcing you. No one's forcing you.
I'll grab it right now. You
Okay.
can get to the next question.
See there. Look what you guys are doing. Now he's getting a costume on. This is great. Please. But thank you for everyone to hopping in. I don't know if I have everyone, but Sammy, Robert, Melissa, Echo, Streamlabs, thanks for hopping in. Thank you for the follow. Jelly. I'm gonna call you Jelly. Soap, appreciate you, Soap. Uh-oh, I see a little something poking out. Oh, wow.
It's real tight. It's like flex and like I can't even quite. I can, but it's like I have to duck down. It can't actually cover the whole head. It doesn't come all the way down to the arms. It's
See,
like,
this is
dear
exactly what I
God.
was talking about, you know? Like, this would be me trying to do something.
Really, really tight in the legs.
I don't know,
The
maybe that'd make
slinging.
good content too, you know?
Yeah.
I've always thought
I've
of,
gotten a few TikToks out of it, so.
right? I've always thought about buying like because my son has clothes that he like grows out of, so I've always thought about trying his clothes on and then just like ripping
There you
out of them.
go.
But I'm not a big guy, so it'd be very embarrassing if I put kids' clothes on and then couldn't even rip out of kids' clothes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, have you played uh Maquette? I don't even know how to say that. Maquette.
Oh,
Maquette?
Maquette, I
Maquette?
think. I have not, but I saw it on Steam and I've heard a lot of really good things about it,
I've
and
heard
I would
nothing
like
about
to check
that.
it out.
I've
If I know it correctly, it is a puzzle game, in which
okay,
but it's surprisingly emotional too, I've heard. But
really.
no, I have not checked it out yet, but it's on my list. In fact, let me make sure it's actually on my Steam wish list.
So a question for me: do you you say you like the wholesome games? Is
Hmm.
not that you're looking for an emotional reaction, but could you see yourself being more drawn to those games that you can have a emotional reaction to? Because it's content at the end of the
Uh,
day.
yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, it's sort of difficult because like that time when I cried playing that game, I don't cry very easily ever, and that's not like a macho thing. Like I
Oh
don't
no,
cry.
no,
That's just like that's not how. I think the only movie I've ever cried during was Pokemon the movie when
really.
uh, Ash was turned to stone, and it was very dramatic,
I've
and I
cried
was
in
like
two
11.
movies.
But like, yeah. What? Wait. What are your two movies?
Okay, so
Get into
Armageddon
it.
was the
Are we
first
okay? Okay.
when Bruce Willis pushed Ben Affleck out of the elevator and was like, "Take care of my daughter," and
Hmm.
then he blows. I don't know why I was like 11 or whatever when that movie. I'm bawling. Just I don't
Yeah.
even know
Yeah.
why. And then this is just personal to my life. I've never mind sharing the story, but like Click with Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
At
Oh,
the
that
very
got sad.
when he fast forwarded through his life and he's old and he's chasing after his son and he falls in the rain and everything like that. It just
Mhm.
reminded me of a
Mhm.
moment in my life and I just broke down. It just like
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
to me, you know. So those
No.
two movies. Click is all people's like Click, but it
Yeah.
gets deep. It does get deep.
No, it's definitely like I would say I don't necessarily look for games where I can have an emotional reaction, but more that we can share an emotional
I like that.
experience,
Yeah.
I guess. Because like I don't know if you've ever played the game Florence, but
I don't think I have, no.
it's a small game. It came out, I think it was 2018. I might be wrong about that, but like it's on Steam, it's on mobile, it's on Switch, it's on a lot of them. It's really, really well done. There's no dialogue in the whole game, but it's
Really?
about this woman named Florence and her relationship with this cellist, and you go through the ups and downs of their relationship, and it's very simple, but it's so relatable, and you're just like, fuck, I am experiencing this fight with them right now. And the way they use the game mechanics, it's like they have this really clever even though there's no conversation, they show them having a conversation. And instead of words, they'll have like word bubbles, but they're in the shape of puzzle pieces, and you'll drag them
Hmm.
together to build the conversation. But then as they start fighting, the puzzle pieces turn from these rounded edges to these really jagged edges. And it's like the whole game
That's
is
so crazy. It's
very the
interesting.
gameplay is very metaphor. It's
Yeah.
really good. I really recommend it. It's a beautiful soundtrack.
That's a
But like I
psychologically
didn't
deep
cry
game.
from that. It is. It's pretty rough, but it's also very lighthearted at moments and very uplifting in the end. But like I didn't cry from that, but it's like I know what that feels like. And
Mm-hmm.
so many people in chat were like, God, I've been here before. Oh, why am I watching you play this game? And we got to share this
Mm-hmm.
experience together, even though I was the one playing. So I guess I was looking more for games like that or games that just focus on a wholesome message, I guess. There's this really silly game called Frog Detective, which is right now it's a two-part. They're just about to release the third part, but it's literally
Okay.
about a frog who is a detective, and it's so silly. Like the sense of humor in the game is just all over the place, and it's a good time. But like the message of the game is just like be yourself, and like it's just this really simple, wholesome message. That like it didn't get emotional at any point, but it's just like, oh man, I just feel good from playing that game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just feel inspired and feel good and got to have some silly laughs. So it's like that sort of thing. That like with a lot of the games that I looked for is trying to find stuff that can exist within that world of just like either like something to connect to or just something to uplift, I guess.
No, like I think so often people are playing games to play a game.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in 2021, the masses have gotten away from story-based games so much, and it's more about
Yeah.
multiplayer and online play. But yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, and at its core, that's what games are. It's a story, and if you can,
Absolutely.
you know,
Yeah. And I always think like games are such a unique way to tell a story because like if you watch a movie and a character dies, you're like, "Oh, that sucks. That character dies." And it can still be very emotional. But if you're playing a game, you are the character. Like if
mm-hmm.
like you literally say like, "Oh no, I died." Like it puts you in the story in a way that like movies and books often can't or
Yeah.
don't. So it's just such a unique way to tell a story, especially with those emotional games. It's like, fuck, that is happening to me right now. I went through a breakup. Like it connects to you in a different way.
No, that's awesome. So, Robo, I want your confidence. Give it to me. Okay. Oh,
I,
that's true.
I'll tell
I'm
you.
asking that as well. Where does your confidence come from?
I would say it honestly doesn't feel like I have confidence. It's to me, I've always been like a very carefree person. I'm just like go with the flow, whatever
Yeah.
happens. So to me, it feels less like active confidence and more like a
Okay.
lack of caring about
Sure.
things,
Yeah.
which is great in the sense that I can just like hop up on stage and do whatever. But
That thought
on
of
on the flip
failure,
side,
I don't know. It's just
well, I mean,
always there.
yeah, it's definitely something that I've worked on over time too, because I've been acting or performing in some way since at least 2014 and have done some stuff before then too. So it's definitely something that like I've, gotten comfortable with over time. But also like going back to what I was saying earlier about like streaming to me feels so it is sort of a performance, but it doesn't feel like a performance. It feels like you're
Mm.
just at home alone chilling and there happens to be people that you're chatting with or whatever. I always say to me, streaming feels like I'm hosting a party where I am the host and the entertainment. So like I don't know, I just always feel like I'm on my
I like
turf
that.
on Twitch, which makes it a little bit easier to just do whatever you want in a way,
Hmm.
within reason. um, but yeah, it never feels like active confidence. It feels like just a lack of caring in a different way.
Does that ever help in those daunting moments of streaming where you feel like, because everyone, I don't know, I feel like you got to be a true sociopath to not feel uh, some type of, am I failing or something? Does that
Oh,
the not that it's not caring, but does that help during those moments?
if it does, it doesn't feel like it.
Okay.
I have absolutely had moments where I'm like, this is I should give up. Like there's not, people aren't tuning in right now. I find the thing that I have found helps me the most in those situations is remembering that there's ups and downs. And I'm like at that time I'm on a downswing. Like if I look back, if I look at my analytics for like the past week or like whatever, it might not look that good. But if I look
Hmm.
back at the past 3, 4, 6 months, you can see
Yeah.
like viewership go up and down. And one thing that I looked at really recently, because I very recently had, just to like be totally candid, I have had like a dip in viewership recently. And I think part of that is because things are opening back
Yeah.
up or whatever. But like, that goes right to your head and you're like, well, I'm clearly failing and my content is garbage now. And like I have all those thoughts 100% all the time. But like if I look back, at the last 6 months or whatever, I can very clearly see like the viewership goes up a little bit and then it comes down and then it goes up even higher and it comes down and then it goes up even higher. Like for me, I don't know that everyone has that experience in terms of those analytics, but like that is what has happened for me. So like it doesn't always calm me down, but like if I try to think of it in that way, it's like, okay, well, I'm on a downswing, so just wait for it to come back up
Yeah.
and just try to keep making content and keep doing it to sort of push through that, I guess. So
I like that. Yeah, I'm so often just caught up with trying to. Brad sent me this thing earlier about Dave Chappelle talking about this kid wanting to be a stand-up comedian, and or talk like maybe wanting to get into it or whatever,
yeah,
and is like stand up is one of those things for him, and it could be, you could use this for any thing, you can use the example for it, but when you love it, and you see other people succeeding at it, it's almost as like you're being cheated on, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
it does feel
Mm-hmm.
like that at times with other things, you know. It's like when you're doing or putting your all into something and you're not getting back what you thought you would, and you see other people still getting success, you're like, well, shit, you know, I think it's just me, you know. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
the world, it is just I'm bad at this or something, you know. So
Yeah.
i
Yeah.
I think having that kind of mindset would help in those situations too, because like I said, you got to be a real big sociopath to not feel like a failure at
Oh,
times, you know.
I don't know anybody that doesn't feel that way in this world.
What's something you're proud of that you wouldn't put on your resume?
I wouldn't put on a resume. Oh,
Trying to think of something.
wow. I guess I think something that I feel is maybe become an unintentional part of my content in a way, especially on Twitch, is like I feel like going back to what we were just talking about being like very um carefree. I think through somehow I feel like I've been able to cultivate within myself this like vibe of like calmness, I guess, is the best way I can think to describe it. Which like because I sort of just go with the flow and typically go with the flow and just like I'm just like let whatever happens happens, and I think that has like leaked into my content already because I've had a lot of people talk about how calm my streams feel,
Mm-hmm.
or even when we're doing like really hyper intense things. um I think there's just this like aura of calm that I managed to keep, and I've had like real friends talk about this with me and stuff like that. So I think that is like something that I don't even know if I could say that I'm proud of it, but I like that that's there, but I can't ever put that on a resume.
Sure.
Like people would be
Yeah.
like, "What are you talking about? What
Yeah.
is this?"
Yeah.
So just that ability to keep a cool head, I guess, through situations, and I think that helps other people keep a cool head sometimes too. So I like that is a thing, but I would never put that on a resume.
Right. I don't know. I think there's some things in real world that can, like, there's some traits in your life or whatever that don't always carry over to Twitch per se. You know, at least
Yeah,
for me.
yeah.
So I think everything I would put on a resume has nothing to do with like Twitch things. You know what I mean? It's just
Hmm. Hmm.
work related or what. It's stuff
Yeah,
that has found me success in the real world. I'd say that.
yeah.
You know.
Mm.
So, but with that, who's Chris?
Who's Chris? I am Chris. That's my real name. It feels so weird going, I mentioned this earlier, but like going from stand up where it's like, I am Christian, this follow Christian comedy on Instagram, blah. And now like I totally forgot about this when I started Twitch, but I was like, oh, I gotta be really careful about my,
Doxing
address
yourself.
and yeah, and so like I was trying to be really careful about not like saying my full name all the time. And then I realized that like in my profile on Twitch, I linked to that sketch show that I used to do with my friend, or that we're still doing. It was just, pandemic. But and all over there is my full name in all the credits, full name, because being an actor, you're marketing yourself, so you're using your
Hmm.
full name everywhere. So it's in all the credits, it's everywhere, and I was just like, it's all out there. Everything is out there.
I
It's
think
all
I think
already
that's why
doxed.
so many actors change their names, or at least a part of
Yeah,
their name. I think that's why so many
yeah.
people change their name. You know, or
Hmm.
could just went by a different name. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
My buddy Brad, he's the same way. He talked about that with me not too long ago. But like that's his Twitch name. You know, he just put his
Hmm.
full name right there, and then
There it is.
it's there. It
It's a
is.
good name. Brad
It
Baker
is a
is
good
a
name.
nice alliteration.
Actually,
Solid.
his real name is Wilbert. Not a lot of people know that.
Wilbert.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not the greatest name. Um,
That is a different vibe.
uh, can we play First Class Trouble sometime? Asked by Echo.
Yes. Yes. 100%. Yes.
Awesome.
I don't know about you or anybody else, but I'm like I know this about myself and I try to be better all the time, but I am so good at being like, yes, I want to play that game with you, or yes, I want to hang out with you. And I genuinely mean it. Like, I'm like, I actively want to do this thing with you. And then I completely forget about it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not because I don't care. It's not because I don't want to do it. My brain is just like, cool, put that here so I can do this. And then it just floats away.
Yeah.
But yes, I want to play games with people.
I
I want to do
always
that.
say this for people at work or whatever. It's like, hey, if I'm asking you a bunch of questions, don't mind. You know, it's like I just forget things. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'll truly
Mm-hmm.
forget. You know, there can literally be doing something it's like, hey, did you do this thing? earlier? And it's like, yeah, man, you asked me to do it 3 times already. I got it done. It's like, oh, okay, sorry,
Yeah.
I just completely
Well,
forgot.
just totally forgot that happened. Yes, 100%.
So, Soap asks, here's a question for both of you. How are y'all able to conduct such an amazing interview? WTF?
It's all on salt. That's
Oh
100%
no,
salt.
a bunch of it's the guest, right? Like, I, people have seen podcasts before, and when you got bad guests, it's obviously like that guest is bad. And I don't think I've had a single bad guest. So, credit to the people that have wanted to come on.
But I said it earlier. I'll say it again. You are is a very fluid and genuine conversationalist, and it just nothing has
You,
like none of the questions have felt like forced or anything. You're not
sure.
like reading from a script, everything. Because I know you asked Robert some of the same questions, like I was there for it, but to me I'm like, oh, I can't believe you. Oh, that's a good question. Like I knew they were coming some, but it still felt so new and fresh. So that's on you.
I
That's fine.
try. Like I said, I don't have like aspirations of being on TV, but I would love to do this as like a thing.
Yeah,
Not I'm not
it'd be great.
I don't need a $70 million Spotify deal, but maybe like
Mhm.
a $70,000 Spotify deal. That would be
Oh.
sick. Spotify, if you're ever listening, you know.
Anybody out there?
Not a
That's how I
sponsor,
feel all
but
the
could be
time.
a sponsor.
Yeah. That's exactly how I feel about so many things with content creation. It's like I don't want to be the next ninja or whoever. Like I don't want that. I just want enough to
Hmm.
continue this for a while. Like I just want my slice of this pie. That's it.
Well, here's something that I've thought about adding to the streams, but never wanted to feel rude or anything. But let's say you just started averaging 1,000 viewers right now. Like you became partner, you're averaging 1,000 viewers. What's changing about your stream? Is anything?
I I would think something would have to, because I've already found stuff starting to change with the level of viewership I'm at now compared to when I started. Because like with the story driven games that I really like to play, as the chat grows and people interact in
Mm-hmm.
chat more, I am very chat focused. I
Yeah.
really hate missing messages in the chat. I don't want anyone to feel like I'm ignoring them ever, and I really like engaging with chat and having conversations. So like if I'm playing a really story driven game, it becomes way more difficult to focus on the story and the chat the larger the chat gets. So and I had like 15, 20 people in my chat right now. If I had like 1,000 people right there, it's just like messages are getting missed 100%. Like
Oh,
there's just
100%.
no,
Yeah.
and so I think I wouldn't say that I would then intentionally play different games, but it just makes it so much harder to play some of the games that I not only that I like, but some of the games that I feel like I originally built my channel on in a way, like some of those indie games with like I don't know if you've ever played any of the Telltale games, like
Oh,
they
I
have a
love them.
Batman.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah. I tried to play one on stream recently. It was the first Telltale game that I played, but those are so story focused. And especially for me, I need to like I'm very visual. Like I need to read the dialogue. Like if I
Mm-hmm.
just hear it, I'm not taking it in.
Same.
And so with those, I need to be able to read it, but I'm like trying to focus on it, but you can't pause the conversation. So I'm like, wait, what did they say? No, I'm gonna read chat. And like I'll pick chat over the game every time. So there's so many games that I play that are like really story driven, and I have no idea what's going on
That's
because
so funny.
I'm keeping up with chat during the cutscenes. So yeah, there would definitely be some sort of shift in what type of
Okay.
content I would be able to make. Because I I don't know. I would have to miss messages. It would just be impossible not to, I think, which would make me very sad. But
Oh yeah, I think
we'll
that's
have
just going to
to
be a
have.
natural thing when you become even somewhat of a bigger streamer, and
Yeah.
maybe not even because I've seen people with 20 viewers. I'm like, how are y'all typing so much? Like, there's 20 people in
Yeah,
here, you know. But
it's really difficult, especially because like earlier today we had there was this was near like the start of the stream, but like I was talking about something in general, and then there was one person who was sort of talking about their own thing. So I was like trying to keep up with two conversations at once and play the game, and it's like there's a lot. Let's
yeah.
okay. But yeah, it's tricky.
So one thing I always want to ask somebody, this is going to be a thing at the end, or more towards the end. Um, excuse me. If you had to compare yourself to another streamer, you know, not necessarily doing it right now, or content creator, I should say, if you had to compare,
Mhm.
and this can be like actor, this can be anybody, you know, who do you think you compare yourself to the most?
Oh man. There is one streamer in particular that like I never really get to tune into him streams, but I think he's been an inspiration to me in terms of like I want to like if I get bigger, I want to aim for somewhere in that vicinity. His name is Simcopter1, and he's just this really chill, wholesome guy. He's a dad, and he streams like GeoGuessr and like these
Oh,
really
nice.
like occasionally he'll stream like Escape from Tarkov or like a shooter game or something. But he streamed like I found him streaming Animal Crossing originally, so he streams like these really
Huh.
chill games, and he's very chat focused. And I swear to God, I've been on his stream quite a bit overall, but like I don't know if I've ever seen him not smiling. Like he's just so jovial and uplifting, and he's just like, "Hey guys, what's going on?" Like he's just so chill, and I think that sort of vibe is definitely something I would like to. I feel like I'm like the baby version of that, you know, like that's. I feel like that. Okay, if I could just continue on this path, then maybe we can reach that. But like in terms of actor or something, I think like some other folks have compared to me like Jim Carrey, just in terms of like the like crazy faces and stuff, which I take as a huge compliment because I love Jim Carrey and
It's
his
amazing.
movies and all
Jim
that.
Carrey, Adam Sandler.
Jim Carrey,
Okay,
I,
some people,
hands
you
down.
know, like I
Yeah.
it's hard. It's tough. It's tough.
I think Adam Sandler has done some really cool stuff. I think he's really good. And he's really funny and you know he's got a lot of great movies. But like I've always just clicked with Jim Carrey's specific zaniness
Hmm.
in a way.
And to see him play Batman would be even better.
It'd be great. It'd be
Well,
fantastic.
if there's not any more questions, I'll start wrapping up here. But if I missed your question, please don't feel, or I'm sorry, and please type it again. I feel bad if I missed anything. But I'm gonna have to fix my chat box for the next stream because I
Mm.
did something that I thought was cool and would be better, and I kind of screwed myself because now the text is way too small.
Uh-oh.
I'm supposed to wear glasses, but I refuse to wear glasses. Like I don't think I look good in glasses. I'll just live life slightly blurry. That's just how it is. It's not bad either. I can
Commit
like
to it.
I can read
Yeah.
your flag behind you. Like
Oh, there you go.
it's
Oh,
not it's
yeah.
not a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you're fine.
But something I also we're all growing here, right? And everyone continue to grow. And I've seen your growth over the last few weeks. It's still going. Same thing, Robert, and the co-op comedy. I can't wait to see where that goes to. So if you would mind sitting down with me in like 4 to 6 months, I would love to see where you're at then, because I know you're going to
Yeah.
be in a different spot.
I would love to. I would be again. I say this all the time, but I would be honored. Just the fact that anybody
Awesome.
wants to talk to me. I'm like, I'm really me. Thank you. Yeah. No, I would love to. I would love that.
And then if you could see somebody be a guest on A Dash of Salt, who would you choose, or who would you want to see?
And I could give you so many names. Reaper's Past, Scooter Cannon, who I mentioned earlier, Joe Medforce. So many, so many. I will send you a list of names.
Okay. Hey, I'm always down for that. Like,
Yeah.
I never want to feel begging or pushy about the podcast or being a guest. So it always helps when people suggest, because then it's like, oh, hey, this person said you'd be a great guest.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
There's
awesome.
a bunch of people I could recommend for
Awesome.
sure.
Awesome. Listen, if there anything close to like you and Robert, I'll talk to you guys all day.
Let's do it. Let's have a group chat.
Well, thank you. If you can you give out your socials one more time? Where can people find you? When can they see you?
Yeah. Yeah, I got very lucky because I was able to get RoboDessert just everywhere. So twitch.tv/RoboDessert, TikTok.com/@RoboDessert. They have to include the at symbol there.
Really?
Yeah, I don't it's always in the URL. I'm like literally no one else does this, but
That's
all right, you
crazy.
guys do you. I'm on Instagram, but I don't really post Twitch stuff on Instagram, but you can follow me on Instagram at RoboDessert, Twitter RoboDessert, youtube.com/RoboDessert, youtube.com/CoOp Comedy with Robert Highwind. Basically just Google RoboDessert and you'll find me.
Amazing. And check out everywhere. Follow them on everything. Subscribe to them on everything. Check out Co-op Comedy. They're definitely going to be getting bigger here soon. I love your guys' content. I truly do. Like,
Thank you. Thank
I'm
you for
trying to
watching.
like
Appreciate
every video y'all put out and everything. Plus, it's inspirational. It's like it gives me ideas. So like, I like
Yeah.
I like doing that. So, but
Appreciate it
appreciate you.
so much.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you. Thank you so
Um,
much. You as well.
this has definitely been my longest podcast yet. So it's kind of crazy. But have a good night, sir, and I can't wait to check your next stream.
You too. Thank you so much once again. Appreciate you very much.
All right, have a good night.